Welcome to Guardian Angels Monday Mayhem. This is going to be our first tournament of the year, or maybe second or third tournament of the scene. I am Invective, joined tonight by Domino, and we're very excited to bring you tonight's action.
Yeah, hi. So it's my first time casting. I'm a little nervous, but I did want to say that the Guardian Angel League's goal, basically, for all of these tournaments is to create a community for women and marginalized gender within the TFT community and esports, just to have kind of like an inclusive space for everyone to be able to participate and compete and be together, really.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed being a part of the Guardian Angel League community for the several tournaments I've been able to cast so far, and very excited to share in tonight. As for our format, we're going to be bringing you 4 games with 24 players in 3 lobbies. They're going to play in different lobbies every game until after game 3, after which the top 8 players are going to be playing in a game 4 for a prize pool of riot points. So if we go over to that prize pool, first place is going to be receiving 2300 RP, which is more than enough to start rolling for whichever little legend you want. Second place, 1700. Third place, 1100. And fourth, 575. So it's definitely, it's not the biggest prize pool in the world, but if you want to play a little bit of TFT and get something from it, it's definitely plus EV to be playing in this tournament.
I'm seeing the lobbies here. We have some really good looking lobbies. I recognize some of the names from previous tournaments. I know that Boy Wife and Sai, amongst others, have been like very good players who have repeatedly come to the top of their lobbies a couple times. So I'm sure those will be people to watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. I really want to shout out Nora, who's just constantly working in this scene. Happy to see her playing, and then Riley as well. Someone I haven't been able to see play TFT in a little while, but I'm glad she's showing up here in Lobby C. And that is the lobby we will be going to first with Hula Hooper, Celeste, The Twisty, Riley, Lekith, Echoes, Sai, and Layli Lena. That's going to be hard to pronounce later.
That is, that's a mouthful. Is there any comps you're expecting
So
to
as
see?
for this, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask if there's any comps you're expecting to see. What you think
As
you're gonna
far
see a lot
as I
of?
know, the meta is really. Yeah, I think one comp that I expect to see permanently is going to be sorcerers. I feel like they're really just the dominant AP line right now, and if you have those AP items, you're probably just going to lean towards those units.
For sure. I feel like, especially if you have a sorcerer +1, it's kind of just
How about you,
a
Domino?
straight
What are
line.
you? Yeah, I think um, in regards to the meta, how it's going to shape up, maybe we don't have to consider the meta too much because we have Mbessa and the trainer golems.
Oh wow. Okay. It's always interesting to see how people decide to play around the golems that they get, what emblems you can include or ignore.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think one of the funniest memories I have of watching what I believe was set 11 was replay got a dummy that like had 3 separate emblems, and then he proceeded to use absolutely 0 of them and
Oh,
just play duelists to like a first place.
oh my goodness. Okay, that's a choice. I feel like maybe that's a little too risky. But there's a lot of combinations, right, of things you can play with these golems. Even just here, looking at this board, the Enforcer and Sentinel combination is going to be really nice to play around Alora's.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think the enforcers are a really powerful way to play the game right now. I think that shows up in the stats. And look at these defensive emblems as well. Whatever trait you want to play around, you can probably find a bruiser and a sentinel that go with it, and that's just going to give you generic value that, it's not going to put you over the top, but this is probably a nice, safe dummy to have received for this game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious to see what kind of augments are going to accompany it. I mean, the Enforcer Vertical with the +1 is super strong if you can make it to that Caitlyn. Spear's Will would be a good fit for her. The extra mana, the extra attack damage, it's just kind of best in slot. But you got to make it to that Caitlyn first, which is a whole nother story.
Yeah, I agree. Wow, 4 Enforcer off the bat by hitting the Camille in the shop, and I'm just interested to see whether Echoes wants to slam both of the makeable items here, whether that's Shojin and Sterex, or if she wants to keep these open, because yeah, you could definitely split them up, and that is perfectly fine with me, or you could commit to slamming both and playing for your full streak. Both of those items are going to find their homes later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have the Maddie getting ready to hold items for Caitlyn, and Camille can be a great holder for Vi as well.
Yeah, over on the other side, we have Unleash the Beast. I didn't have a chance to see all 3 of the emblems on that golem, but I'm curious to see if she's angling for Urgot this game. And we'll see the way the rest of the lobby shapes up as we get a better picture of the emblems that they've been provided.
Oh, that's an interesting golem. Between Sentinel, Quick Striker, and Firelight. That's a hard one to kind of mesh together to find balance in your board. The Firelight +1 is very nice, but mixing that with Quick Striker can be a little complex if you want to include it.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit awkward because these 2 lines take themselves in pretty different directions. I think what Riley has right now, well, actually she's already picked Aerial Warfare, so I think that she is really just going to lean into playing around this Zeri reroll that we've seen more and more of this patch. Maybe we can even find a Sentinel that goes well on this board, but just play for 2 Sentinel, and the rest of the board is going to be pretty standard. Having extra, when you have a Zeri stacking attack speed with Rageblade, that Firelight proc where the Firelights gain extra attack speed during their dash, that can be really, really valuable. So if Riley's able to find 4 Firelight, you can look forward to this comp being a lot stronger.
Absolutely, yeah, and I feel like Zeri just kind of mows through everything with the right stall. Oh, we have a Canberra 1 golem here, with unfortunately no Renata to go with the Swain for the time being.
Yeah, the Twisty, I feel like, Cambaron is definitely still strong in this patch, but I feel like we're at the point where she might not be comfortable playing Cambaron anymore in this position, because you can see how she's slamming items on the Samumu. I think, and removing them onto the Swain. Wow, that's a snap decision for you.
I mean, that definitely leans more towards the win streak, and I'm seeing opposing player also has a Cambaron golem. So maybe it's a choice to not go towards the contesting, make sure we're not griefing each other's loose streaks.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because, even if it is able to get Cambaron in next turn, she's already going to have all of the bonus stacking from the Cambaron trait, but you really do have to get quite deep in the Cambaron loss streak for it to be worth it. I'm hearing that you really want to try to play for 500 cash outs at the very least, but if you look at this carousel here, there is going to be a Cambaron available for SYSY, but Riley's going to deny that rod.
Yeah, there's a lot of... I'm trying to figure out if there's anybody else in the lobby playing Cambaron, because I feel like with the golems, you kind of contest yourself very easily. It could be scary if you get too many players, and that is a Renian shot. That's 4 Cambarons on 2-5. That's huge.
Imagine if Sai got the Smeech as well. It would be insane.
Oh my god.
But
yeah.
too little, too late when your competitors are aware of what's going on. Because in this situation, yeah, we're gonna have to see how it all shapes out. I think Sai is also in an interesting position because she took that collector,
Mm.
and that means that maybe that ends up going on Smeech, but I don't think it's the strongest item in this you know in this
Yeah, I tend to
composition.
agree. I also feel like you could choose to go for an item that will make you money even if you're losing, whereas a collector will you have to kill units to collect money, right? Inevitably. So it's kind of hard for them to be playing the item at the minute.
Yeah, I agree. I think it can be a little bit frustrating. As for Riley, though, I think she's put herself into a bit of an awkward position, taking another rod off Carousel instead of the bow in order to deny SYSY. The Smeech has put Riley in a position where she's going to need really favorable drops from Carousel, or favorable drops from Krugs and subsequent neutral rounds in order to really shape off these Zeri items.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm not mistaken, I do think that Spark is a very good item on Scar. So it might be just like a plan for an extra rod here, or maybe double Rage Blade. Who knows? At the end of the day, a rod is still like one of the most flexible items you can get. Just because the tank items you can make with it are still really good.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I've seen Scar do some really nasty stuff when he's empowered by the anomaly, when he's able to dive into the backline, and like you said, when that happens, Spark really does become an excellent item for him. But Riley not ending the stage off the strongest note, having the loss streak broken, and then after a win taking another loss, it's frustrating. Maybe we could have stacked a little bit more, but we're so committed to playing this line already, and all of our Firelight units have been empowered by our augment. So it's hard to sack perfectly in this situation.
Yeah. At Krugs, now we're seeing Echoes again, who's on a 100 streak since we started the game with them. Their board looks super strong, so does their items. I mean, having the Shojin and IE Slam, off the bat is really just a great precursor to making it to the Caitlyn eventually. And I'm sure the Maces will as well as also putting it work.
Yeah, I think if you've ever played an Enforcer game, you realize you can't be much happier than having this Maddie 2 with all of these AD items, with the ability to cast more frequently with a Shojin. It's just about all you could ask for. And there is another win streaker in Hula Hooper who I think has a really ideal spot for a win streak as well. We can see that she has the Garen and the Vlad online already with +1s to Watcher and Black Rose. So, for Watcher, for Black Rose at the start of stage 3 is really intimidating. And I think it's going to come down to whether Maddie's able to snipe some of the backline damage if these two players match up.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, having so many Black Rose units and the upgraded Scion early is really going to help. Like, this CC makes a huge difference. We're going to see the matchup right away.
Yeah, man, this is this is an exciting place to be in the game. I think Garen is such a powerful hit at this point, just giving you so much more frontline. But Vladimir really looks to be the only frontline left alive. Maddie's gonna take down Morgana as well, and I think that it's looking a little bit too thin. Vladimir didn't do a good enough job tanking because he's only Vladimir
Yeah.
1.
It really might have just been a Vlad 2 diff. It could have made a world of difference, honestly. I
Wait,
see
wow,
the
you can
double
see Celeste has
Seracs
our.
here.
Oh yeah, Lily Lena is definitely leaning towards that Urgot now that she's been able to activate 2 Sterax on that unit. Really just an imposing unit. Um, I think we're here with Celeste, who took Shotwitch and seems to be really committed to re-rolling Renata or to. Yeah, I mean there are a lot of Vexes on the bench. I think this is going to be a visionary re-roll angle.
It does look that way, yes.
Taking a look around, Riley was able to make the Gunblade, has another rod for Rageblade, and really powerful frontline upgrades here with Scar, Garen, and some of the other Watchers upgraded. Plus, we have bulky buddies. So it's really just an incredible frontline to be dealing with this stage.
I think what can be a little scary is looking at the econ here. I mean, they have 4 Zeries total and 10 gold. I can understand running, rushing level 6. You kind of have to play the Zeri reroll, but it can be scary to look at your economy and be like, okay, that's 1 econ, 1 gold around for the time being. Gotta work it back up to be able to roll down effectively.
I'm with you. This can be a scary position, but if there's one thing I know about Riley, it's that she's very, very accustomed to playing 2-cost reroll, and I think that if she is in this style of gameplay, she is comfortable enough playing for the win streak in stage 3, and making that the source of her income for later in the game. So yeah, completely understandable that that's a scary position. I think it's scary for a lot of players to find themselves in that position. I think Riley might be one of the players where I really trust her in this position.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm seeing here that we're playing Chem Baron still, and for the time being, Savika items held by Nocturne. Not slamming too many items either, trying to conserve some HP while continuing the loss streak. I think it'd be good here to be able to, kill a couple units and just keep it going.
Yeah, I think the position looks alright, but since we saw her last time, there are fewer Chem Barons than you might want to have increased the number of on this board, right? There might be a Silco on this carousel, there might be a Smeech on this carousel, and those would be really, really beneficial. But as for right now, we're taking hard losses, and we're not getting close enough to that magical 500 number where I think this comp is really supposed to take off.
Oh, and Echoes gets taken down from their 100 streak at the same time. I do not, however, see a Silco nor a Smeech on this carousel. There is a Rennie that they already have. The Heimer can be interesting for the Visionary players.
Yeah, 2 swords here, Academy units. I think that might just speak to the fact that there might not be an Academy player in this lobby if Heimerdinger and Ezreal are going to survive so long on this carousel.
Yeah, that's true. Looking at the Zeri board here, IE is getting made. The Zeri is going to have a good bonus amount of damage here coming up. This bench is looking difficult. There's so many low-cost units to reroll here. Having to sell one for another, judging who's going to be the most important to gain immediately.
Yeah, I think Celeste is in a really awkward position. I know that she wants to be playing around this Chem Baron. I know she wants to be playing around, all of these Visionaries, but you really do have to commit at a certain point, and the bench is about to be locked for neutrals, which is when you want to be able to see if you get any of these units out of the orbs that drop.
Looking at this cash out, 2-star Smeech must be very tempting. Even if it's just for the money, because I don't think that Toasty is necessarily playing for cash out. What I can see here as well is it looks like Echoes has picked up. I'm not sure if that is which hero augment that is, if we can hover it. It looks like martial law maybe with Ambessa or trait betrayal exactly. So we're looking here at pretty good Ambessa kind of strength going around. And then for Twisty's board, I mean, a lot of tank items, seeing a little bit of Pit Fighter, but the Driven seems to be having a hard time carrying on its own. I'm sure the Renata is going to help to boost that. Maybe to hope here would be some more items either for Draven or for Renata, either or, depending on if they want to go for a more AP or AD heavy board.
Hey, Domino, can you hear me all right? Thank you for holding it down.
Yeah, of course. I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So, how are we looking in the game? Who is looking down? Who's looking up? I feel like the Twisty's in a really tough spot here.
Yeah, it's looking a little hard. I mean, their Canberra Lost Streak kind of suffered a couple of rounds. I think there was maybe a little bit too much item slamming, and it didn't help their cause. And also, of course, there's other Canberran players. But they're doing what they can with what they got. I think their Golem's kind of hard to play with as well. I mean, Watcher and Pit Fighter is not something that naturally comes together too much.
Yeah, I see. I think that, it's really looking tough now that Sai has cashed out as well. You can see that she's really playing hard around the Smeech, even though it's still not that stable of a spot for a cash out. It's really hard to deal with Smeech these days because of how quickly he's able to get into your backline.
Yeah. Also, that is a triple Sterax Urgot that I'm looking at from Leliana. Oh, and that is...
somehow... Ooh, Prismatics.
That's spicy.
Yeah, Bulky Buddies isn't exactly what I expected to see when you have the wandering, or the trainer dummies.
Yeah.
The trainer golems, rather. I feel like it's going to be really hard to get Bulky Buddies value on this board with pairing up all the units. And then at the same time, if you take Bronze for Life, I feel like you could really, really terrorize the rest of the lobby with all of that bonus damage.
Yeah, and even before they rolled the augments, there was a Sorcerer Crown in there, which pairs super well with Black Rose. We could have had the Sorc +1 here, and it's a super easy pivot towards, 8 Sorcerer, 4 Black Rose with the +1.
Yeah, it just seems like this was like a really tough turn for Leketh to figure out both the positioning and the augment. But I wonder if she's going to get punished here, because there are times when you can make this mistake and you'll just skate on by because Hooper didn't level up to level 8.
I think it's just going to be, once they find the right position for their board, it should be okay. I mean, there are certain, you can backline, frontline units as long as they're not form swappers, and it doesn't matter. It'll be fine. But here, looking at the Zeri, we're starting to see some units coming in, getting closer to all the 3 stars that Riley needs.
Yeah, it seems like she did get a little bit stalled by taking 1 loss late in stage 3. Maybe that was up against Leketh, who just seems to have a very powerful board.
Yeah.
But Riley is pretty close to the point where she can start rolling down for the Zeri 3, and not too far behind on Smeech as well. Over here, though, with Sai, look at this. Smeech 3, Silco 2. This is really going to be tough to deal with.
I mean, that's just recipe for a win streak through the entirety of stage 4. I don't see Sai losing any of these matchups. Even, Leketh is strong, but this is ridiculously strong,
Yeah, as far as the Smeech carry goes, I don't think you're getting a ton of value out of continuing to play Cambaron, but having the duo carry in the Silco isn't bad. And unfortunately, Detwisti is going to go out here in 8th place. It's an early 8th place. And
Yeah.
one of the most frustrating things for sure I know this set is you went 8th before you can even see an anomaly, before you can even upgrade a unit like
Oh,
that.
yes.
That's tough.
It's really hard. But what's less hard is looking at all of these frying pans on the carousel here. That's going to be a lot of opportunity for a lot of players. And they're not disappearing right away, so everyone's going to have a shot at them.
Yeah, I think the tough thing you have in this situation is just like, wait, Echo's just got a
Echo's
Caitlyn.
picked up a Caitlyn, yeah.
Ooh, that's something the rest of the lobby should have denied for sure. Echoes just
Absolutely.
has their capstone unit here for fun. That's crazy.
I'm curious to see if they choose to move the Maddie items, considering it's a Maddie 3. Probably not for the time being. But the blue buff on the Caitlyn is amazing, considering her mana, her cost cast is, well, I think it's 50 mana. I mean, it refreshes very quickly.
Yeah, I want to say because Echoes does have this duo carry or this team up trait between Mbessa and Maddie, I feel like, well, as well as having Maddie 3, I don't think she should be in a rush to move items to Caitlyn 1. But you can see that she also took 1 buff, 2 buff, and because of that, she's been able to acquire this champion duplicator, which, if she is in a hard position, that can go onto Caitlyn, that could go on to Mbessa.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at level 9, if this win streak continues, if she finds an anomaly she likes in not so much gold, then she could maybe even hit a 2-star 6 cost, and that would just dominate the rest of the game.
I have yet to see in any of my games, any of the games that I've watched, a 2-star 6 cost, and I would love to see it. So if Echoes could please get a Mel 2 or something, I'm here for it.
Ooh, that's not the cash out that Celeste needs right now. I think that, I mean, Econ is Econ, but she really needs to see a Renata in that box.
It's so close. It's just one Renata. I feel like, yeah, you gotta roll and hope. And
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
there with a Victor.
With a Victor?
Surely that's a shot block, right? Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it has to be.
Yeah.
Wait, that could turn the game around. That could legitimately turn the game
Absolutely.
around. It is interesting that Celeste basically doesn't have any more use from from her trainer golem.
That's true. I mean, 3 Cam Baron, I guess. Occasionally you get a little bit of money from your cash out. It's not a bad thing to have on the side.
Yeah, for sure. And there is that a chem tank that has found its way onto Singed, but I don't know how strong of a version that is, and we'll see whether the Singed is able to hold up. As far as this fight goes, going up against Lekith, Lekith went to level 8, and I don't think she was able to find a lot of the backline upgrades that would continue her win streak, that would continue her dominance, so Celeste is going to live another round, and you can see that Hula Hooper is now on 1 life.
Oh, yeah. Things are getting a little bit dicey down there. 5 Black Rose, 4 Dominator. I mean, it's hard to see the Silco 2 here that's already contested. And then Mundo 2 would also make an incredible upgrade to the board. I feel like if you can't hit the Mundo 2 here, potentially moving tank items to Elise could help, something like that. I mean, when you're on 1 life, you kind of just do what you can.
Yeah, that or Garen. I really just think that as far as this spot goes, it's a tough thing to play Dominators in this current meta.
Yeah.
Really, you would want to have like a Dominator emblem, and that way you'd be able to empower a unit that's a little bit stronger right now, such as Echo. And I think we've seen versions of that board do much better than this board is currently doing. And oh no, at the bottom of the roll down, we don't have Mundo 2, we don't have Silco 2.
Or one off of both.
We weren't able to move tank items over to anyone either. Oh, this matchup looks so hard as well.
Oh, that is a gigantic Urgot. I mean, the anomaly on that must be supersize or something, because the Sterex hasn't even procced yet. Giant size, yeah. Gain 1,000 health and grow greatly in size. That's a big crab.
Absolutely a big crab. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Hula Hooper, and Sai is on the ropes as well,
Do we get the
down to
cast
4
off?
HP.
Yeah.
So out of all the Chem Baron players, we might be looking at maybe 3 or 4 of them out in the bot 4. It's a tough trait to play.
It is, especially with the trainer golems. I mean, it's a hard time when multiple people get the Cambaran golem. I mean, it's hard to say no to yourself when you see a Cambaran +1, you know? It's always so tempting, and the cash outs can be so great that you might as well try.
I agree. Riley seems to be in a harder position than she might want. Having these items stuck on Garen right now, I know you want to upgrade it to the Garen 2, but we do have the Vander 3 on our board, and he doesn't have any items. It looks like our tempo got a little bit slowed down by all of that rolling in stage 3, like you said, so Riley might not be capping out a first here, going up against one of the strongest players in the game right now in Echoes, who does have the Caitlyn 2, probably upgraded that with the Champion Duplicator.
Yeah, looking at these rolls here, I mean, the Scar 3 would be a huge upgrade. I do feel like the Garen 2 would be almost a better one, almost. Oh, there goes the Scar.
Wow. Okay,
It's huge.
that makes
That's
a
massive.
tremendous difference. Yeah.
I wonder if... Oh, this is something I should know, but I wonder if having 2 Garens on the board will give the emissary buff to both of them. You know, if both of the person standing next to them gets the extra protection.
Yeah, I think on Garen 1 it might be a little bit hard to tell. It might prioritize like the strongest Garen or the Garen with most items, but I'm ashamed to say I don't know myself either. Here we can see this interesting matchup between a super tank and a super bruiser, and the super bruiser seems to be winning out. Some of the Scar's value in tanking is the ability to CC the units around him, but unfortunately that Urgot cannot be crowd controlled once those Sterex gauges pop. Unfortunately, now we can see Celeste and Sai out in 5th and 6th place, respectively. That's tough because,
That's tough.
hey, Chem Baron might be a hard trait to play here.
Yeah, I think that's just it. Unfortunate. It's a hard place to be when you've got Cambaran and you can't make it to the Civica, and the Silco 2 is kind of elusive. It's tough. Looking at our top 4, though, we have the Dominator player who's actually in a much better position than we last saw. We've got the Mundo 2, the Silco 2, good items on both and on the Cassiopeia.
Well, I think that this board just seems like a significantly better version of the board that Hula Hooper was running. But correct me if I'm wrong, that third augment still is bulky buddies.
Yep, and it's still not being, used.
Oh, I feel for Lekith. Maybe
Me too.
Maybe she thought she took a different augment. I've done this before, by the way. I've done this in like a cup, where I took.
Oh.
It must have been best friends at the time, and I didn't get best friends value for like a stage and a half.
Oh my goodness. It happens to everyone. It happens so much. But it's unfortunate to see somebody playing down a prismatic. And it will be the end for Lekith here in this game.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I think I've seen a lot of players opt for center of the universe, but I see it a lot more when you have the backliner that can stand in the middle of the backline, and then the orbs will hit like across the arc of the frontliners.
Yeah,
so
it will hit across the board in a line.
Yeah, I want to see how good it is on this Caitlyn, because it is true that, her targets change based on her ultimate, or I don't really know what the interaction is, so I'm kind of excited to see it.
This giant Urgot, though, just seems to be, mowing everything in his path. Unleash the Beast, absolutely, and now the Syrinx will have procced even harder to kill, but the Zeri gets through it.
Wow, I wonder what changed
That's
this fight.
yeah, and that's a huge win for Riley.
Yeah, I think Riley might have upgraded the Garen because we might be able to see that there's no more. Nope,
Nope.
still two Garens, but moved the items over to the Vander. I think that this was an adjustment that she needed to make.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I also feel like Vander probably gets more value out of the Firelight emblem. Um, the the dash and applying the uh, I'm sorry, I forget the name of the item, but the Even Shroud to the units that he's going to jump to, which is going to let the Zeri do more damage in consequent.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think just making sure that that shred value or the sunder value stays alive for as long as possible, I think that can make a huge difference here. Now we'll see if well Riley just got in 6 Watcher, so that is a big power up to this front line, which is already looking very intimidating. But in a matchup against Echoes, are we going to be strong enough to force Echoes to roll below 50 gold?
We'll have to find out. And I think also it's going to help if the Caitlyn latches onto the Scar with that Rumble Vest. It's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. I think it looks like Caitlyn is just focusing her primary auto attack target. It doesn't have any interaction with her ultimate, but she is doing a ton of damage. And Lady Lena is going to be out in 3rd place, Riley in 2nd. A double kill from Echoes from her and her Ghost. And that is it for game 1. What a dominant performance from the Enforcer player here.
Yeah, an absolute huge 84 HP win. That's gigantic. I mean, that's one way to dominate the lobby. We started with Echoes and we finished with Echoes.
Yeah, for sure. That is an excellent way to finish out game 1. Do you have like a favorite play of the game that you want to point out?
Favorite play of the game? I mean, honestly, Echoes, the choice of the first augment for me was the play. Like taking the Spear's Will there for the extra mana, both on Maddie and on the Caitlyn later. And then again with the team trait with Ambessa and Maddie. To me, that was the augment choices from Echoes was masterful.
Yeah, I want to point out like not pivoting the items straight away from Maddie to another unit, such as that Caitlyn. You know, you really do have to play at least a little bit with the Enforcer trait to figure out that yeah, until you upgrade Ambessa, until you upgrade Caitlyn, Maddie is really a viable carry, and she really did work throughout stage 3 and stage 4 as she got upgraded, and as she just continued to snipe backlines through front lines that weren't fully upgraded.
Yep, exactly. And especially what with having that 3-star Maddie, it just makes a huge difference to be able to carry her later into the game because she'll start to become obsolete, during stage 3, and it gets harder to justify having her as your main carry. But with the upgrade, I mean, it's just we've seen plenty of 1-cost 3 stars carry throughout the sets.
Yeah, really well played for a game 1. If we have the standings already, I'd love to take a peek at the standings and maybe check out the game 2 lobbies. But if we don't at this point, we can send it over to a quick break while we get ready for game 2. Welcome back, everyone, to Monday Mayhem, our first tournament of the year here at Gal's Giving, or here at Gal, and we have standings for you after the first game of the day. Echoes, like we saw, taking a first place in Lobby C, and we have Kix and the Conic Priestess taking firsts as well. As the standings round out, I'm glad to see Nora took second place in her first game, and throughout the board, you can see that some of our returning players are doing quite well today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing great results over here. I am curious, later on to see the boards that were played and such and take a look at the brackets. But Riley is doing super well as well, and we have our new lobbies.
Yeah, I think that as these lobbies shake up, we are going to get to see more and more permutations of players. And I think that that's really important for players who might have had a tough game one. For example, if you're Detwisty, it might help to have slightly different lobby dynamics, although some of the aggression that came here in the first lobby still going to be taking place if Riley has a 2-cost reroll situation and decides she wants to roll down to 10 gold in the middle of stage 3.
I mean, who knows? It worked out pretty well for Riley, so keep a good recipe, am I right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's sort of an older school style of play. I don't think a lot of 2-cost rerollers roll down quite as deep these days in the middle of stage 3. But I do think that that sort of gameplay does still emerge when there is like a really broken 2-cost reroll line. Like, do you remember Syndra at the start of set 12?
Oh my
where
goodness.
she was just the most broken unit ever, and two-starring her was all you needed. I think there were a
I
lot of
mean,
people rolling basically to 0 gold.
yeah, I remember it being like, hey, if you have a 2-star Syndra on stage 2, that like you're done, your game is done, you're fine, you're good to go, like you're making it to level 9. It was just it was hilarious.
Yeah, I think that was just a ridiculous meta. But we're in game, and first things first, I do want to see if there was a portal. Maybe if we
Ooh,
could. Oh, that's a portal.
that is a good one. This is good, you know. We're gonna see a lot of exciting things. It's gonna be there's gonna be movement. You know, prismatic parties always high risk, high reward. And I'm seeing here that there is like a pair of sets already on 1-4. Imagine, you know, making a set 2 on round 1 that puts you in a really good position to start up. And then, I mean, the Trundle 2 as well feels like a pretty good start. Collecting the rebels here. Bruiser, Scrap as well. And looking at these augments, there's a lot of interesting things. We have like 2 speed augments, Automata Crown. It kind of feels like Automata has taken a little bit of a dive in popularity since the recent patch.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've heard that it's still a very strong emblem in itself, but you might not be able to lean quite as hard into it. And there are some interesting options here as well in terms of shopping spree. This augment isn't as good as it once was. When it first
Mm.
came out, the shopping spree could still be really appealing if the player that we're looking at does want to push the tempo a little bit.
Running out of time to choose, and it will be Lucky Gloves. Unfortunately, unable to pick up the TG before going into the round, which is a shame, as that can make a huge difference, for example, on the Rennie on the board. And we have a Prismatic Pipeline for Laconic Priestess, which I hear that if you get Prismatic Pipeline second or third augment, then you have a pretty high chance of getting a 6-cost champion. But, you know, I doubt that that'll be possible on Krugs.
Yeah, I mean, we know all around that Prismatic Pipeline is just a really strong augment. I think that Elle is certainly in a position to make very good use of it, as she's already off to a bit of a win streak. So that Prismatic Pipeline is just going to come through as a bonus potentially at the
Yeah.
end of this stage. And who knows? We might see more gold orbs, we might see more prismatic orbs, and in that case, Elle would just be off to the races.
Yeah. And I mean, Elle is off to an amazing start. That is a TF2 on 2-2. Who decided that was legal? I didn't. But having a 2-star 3
You know,
cost here is just sit back and relax, you know? If you're able to upgrade
yeah, I
that
mean,
front
certainly
line
you
a
do have
tiny
to do a bit
bit.
of positioning. Certainly, you have to position. This Camille might be a bit of a threat. She has had her Edge of Night popped, and Twisted Fate is looking a little bit alone for our liking. Echoes just
Yeah.
had combat power, had the red buff, had 2 completed items slammed, had Blazing Soul. There are a lot of factors into L not having the best result in that round, but it
Yeah.
is what it is. Twisted Fate 2 is more makeable now than he's ever been, and I'm glad for Elle that she has it.
Absolutely. And I'm really curious to come back to Elle later when we see the result of that prismatic pipeline. Although here I'm seeing Ambusher perhaps with a Zeke's,
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure. I
super
think
interesting.
if you look here,
I mean,
yeah,
having
the
the
flurry of blows augment is super valuable, providing that extra crit chance.
Yeah, and the crit and the attack speed. I mean, this is kind of perfect recipe to play maybe like a reroll Smeech or something.
Yeah, I think this is really like a positive spot, especially because this Camille, she isn't who she once was in terms of the absolute power that she offered. Um, but Lekith isn't necessarily taking bad losses either. If Lekith takes maybe a 5 loss streak and then starts rolling a little bit on 3-2 to stabilize, I think that this spot could start looking very excellent. And there's a Smeech on the carousel on Lekith's side.
It's right in front. Just beeline, and there we go.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just given to you, why not?
I'm in. Lekith does have the potential to slam Deathblade. Does have this lesser champion duplicator for when we start to spike, but I think determining whether you want to spike this stage and start slamming items this stage or wait until next stage, I think that's going to show some of Lekith's mettle as a player.
Yeah, and I think also like it's fair to greed a little bit for your items here. I mean, Krugs is coming up very soon. You might want to wait to see a BT, a QSS, or a Titans.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you're really tuned into the stats, the Deathblade is pretty strong. But I would certainly agree with you that having some sustain on Smeech is so valuable for those duels at the end of the fight, or if he catches a stray bullet from a Lux or a Maddie. Absolutely, having a Hand of Justice with this open glove would really enable you to slam that Deathblade, whereas the item economy could work out a different way based on what you get.
I mean, I think that these losses are not too bad. 2-3 units at a time, but continue to amass money with the loss streak. It's not a bad way to go. And that is for Hula Hooper a Violet 3 already. We're looking at a reroll family board.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think wow, there's a Zoe in this shop, but I don't know if this is like a comfortable spot to play around her.
I mean, it's tough, but it's not impossible. Looking at the Aurelia in shop as well, that could be Rebel in, Bruiser for the set. There's nothing stopping you from making that pivot here. There is a tier as well that could be used for a Shojin. It's a possibility. I think holding on to the Zoe here is not a bad decision.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that, you do want to hold these experiment units for when you are playing Twitch later on down the line, but this is costing you a lot of gold right now. And having a mixed streak this stage as well puts us in a really tough position in terms of our econ. If we get to level 8 and somebody else wants our units, we might not have a chance to get any of them.
And that is a bare win for Lekith, a very low HP Camille. And there was, in fact, the choice made to sell the Zoe, so committing here a little bit more towards the experiment comp. Oh, we get to see the prismatic pipeline coming in.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were on top of that, because it's always so exciting to see what comes out of this orb.
Yeah, I mean, it can be such a mix of things, right? But I know that it's, very easily you'll get a spatula or a frying pan or something that can allow you to expand your board quite a bit.
Here it is. That is a lot of gold.
That is so much gold. I mean, how much? I didn't pay attention to how much money they had previously, but I think that was something close to 40 gold, maybe 50.
Yeah, I think that just turns around this spot a lot, right? I think a lot of our players struggle a little bit with the amount of econ that the game's providing them. But here, you can just see that Elle kickstarted things, and she's going to be able to get a really strong start to stage 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And the series looking good, the TF's looking good. I mean, with all of that money as well, like it's they're gonna be level 6 next round if they want to be, and it's gonna be early and put them in a really, really good position for a win streak.
Yeah, uh, I think Lekith might have found herself in a little bit more frustrating position. You know, just not being able to fully lost streak stage 2, and then now being
Mm.
stuck on level 4, right? If you look around, really, like there are a lot of players who have very low econ, and I think that's just like based on the gold drops. Here we can see Stacky. Stacky also had the prismatic pipeline and got a ton of econ from it, but everybody else is down in the dumps.
Yep. These are interesting augment options, but the Black Rose +2 here, that's huge. That's going to be a very big scion if we can make it to the LeBlanc.
Yeah, that's gonna be a ton. And the Aegis of the Legion, I've heard, I haven't done the research myself, but I've heard this is one of the best possible support items if you are playing for sorcerers. I think that it makes sense if you think about, hey, what do our sorcerers need? We need to cast more often. We've already got so much base AP that if we cast more often, we're just going to get more and more value. And I think you can see that come through with the attack speed that's being offered by this support item.
Yeah, for sure. And here, wow, look at this sitting on 85 gold, getting those free rerolls above 50, what with invested. That's a ton of
Okay,
help when
I
playing this
think that,
mage board.
yeah, for sure. Um, I wonder if Lekith is more oriented towards this Camille, because she does have 4 of them, but I do think the Smeech is the far more reliable carry. And I do want to point out, I don't know if it's Hula Hooper in particular, but there is a family reroller in this game. They already have a Vi, and I believe it was Living Forge, their first augment, so they'll have a few chances to get one of the very powerful artifacts that is powerful that
Isn't
is strong on Violet.
I thought that was Build-A-Bud, which is how they got the
Oh, is
I think that might be
oh is that
Build-A-Bud.
Build-A-Bud? Oh, the
Yes.
oh
I mean,
the icons are
Build-A-Bud
confusing to me. I'm so
Violet, I
sorry.
mean, that's just, handed on a platter.
Yeah, this doesn't seem to be like this traditional family reroll spot now, though. I wonder if Hula Hooper is going to be able to like make headway with this Violet throughout the game, or when she's going to start falling off.
Yeah. I think, I mean, Hula Hooper seems to be going more towards, like, running in a straight line towards the Vi carry, maybe over the Violet, playing for those 6 pit fighters down the line instead of rolling family.
Yes, for sure. I also want to point out, like, in terms of some odd reroll gameplay, we did see over this weekend. I think it was Weird who was playing like Nocturne reroll, and
Mm.
then hit an early Warwick and took 3 items off Nocturne and put it on a Warwick 1, and then like went straight to level 10.
Oh,
So
wow.
if that's in the cards, that's in the cards. Hula Hooper might just hit a Warwick on stage 5, and that'll be problem solved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, thinking about the games this weekend, I know that, a giant majority of the games were um, Twitch Flex, experiment, and it was super impressive to see like kind of the different lines you can go with it. And I'm seeing a couple of players in the lobby here. There's a player that's going very directly towards experiment, but other people who could pivot into it super easily as well. And I'm curious to see if that's going to be contested later or not.
Yeah, I agree. I do think the meta that we've been observing so far does seem to prioritize Silco, does seem to prioritize AP carries a little bit more than the meta that we saw this weekend. But I think that in terms of, comfortability, when you are playing a tournament, it's great to play a line that you know. And Lyceth winning out this fight, both of these players don't have very powerful second augments at the present time.
Yeah.
Laconic Priestess going for that prismatic pipeline, getting that prismatic orb at the end of the stage, that's going to be great when we get there. And I don't think Lekith has spent virtually any gold. So it's honestly not the worst outcome for either one of those players. But yeah, here's one of those players that you were talking about, playing around experiment.
Yeah. And I mean, a prismatic pipeline is great, and we already have 3 in the lobby, so I feel like those 3 players no longer have as big as an advantage as you usually do when you take prismatic pipeline, just because there's somebody else who received either the same econ or the same advantage that somebody else did.
Yeah, I do. I would say that at the same time, the prismatic pipeline players could just dominate the rest of the lobby. Um, it's not. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case that it's just one or the other. This is going to be an interesting matchup, though. I think L has moved much more strongly into the Zeri reroll, and yeah. I don't know if this spot is quite as strong as the other prismatic pipeline spots are going to be. We do have prismatic ticket in order to make use of all of the extra econ that we received, but the support item really, I could be wrong, but I don't feel like this Banshee's Veil is giving us a ton of value.
It's not giant. I mean, Banshees does now, it's crowd control immunity and attack speed, which is not exactly what you necessarily want on your tanks. I mean, sure, attack speed is nice, but what is Leona going to do with extra attack speed? Maybe you'll get an extra cast off. Maybe, But we're getting really close to the Leona 3 here.
That's the question to me as well. And yeah, we are getting closer to Rel. We are getting closer to Leona. The tough thing sometimes with Prismatic Ticket is making use of all of the rerolls, but it doesn't look like Elle wants to dig any further, really maximizing her economy here.
Yeah, and the items can also be a little hard to manage. There is a blue buff slam that just went through. I mean, I was looking at those items, 3 tiers in an AD comp. That's tough. You gotta handle what you get, but that's just unlucky.
Yeah, really difficult. I think it just looks so challenging to play up against Stacky's board with like average level boards, because just look at how fast this Lux is attacking, look at how fast she's doing damage, 1 unit by the next, just all going down as we get our 3rd prismatic augment of the game. And let's see if it changes the game for any of our players.
Oh, Call to Chaos is interesting. Dominator as well, if you can make it to the Mordekaiser, playing Conqueror, that's...
Yeah, we'll see. Hesitating for a second, it's going to be the Dominator emblem. And you can see that Silco's already on the board. We're already playing around this guy. So, not a terrible decision in terms of just intuition, but I'm just scared that this roll down isn't going to stabilize us strongly enough with the front line that we need to maximize Dominator as a trait.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Silco 2 would be huge, Ambessa 2 would be huge, and they're sharing their traits right now, but that does also mean that there's 1 slot less for a good item, which, it can be helpful to have the extra stats from either Conqueror or Dominator, but sometimes the Titans or the Edge of Night is going to give you more value on certain matchups.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to have to be a lot of work from Iconic Priestess to turn this spot into a dominant one, but if you are able to reach the Mordekaiser, that's a lot of gold.
That's a ton of money. From where?
I think it's the Exalted Adventure. Rerolling this Camille and rerolling this Ziggs.
Wow, tough units to put together in a board, by the way. I mean, yes, Dominator, Black Rose. We've seen Ziggs reroll before, but pairing it with the Camille reroll is definitely a choice. The Camille currently doesn't actually have any of her traits active.
Yeah, I was about to say, it might be a tough tough two units to put together on the same board, but this is just a Ziggs board with Camille on it. I mean, she's doing very well. I don't believe. I believe that these two artifacts just came out of the Exalted Adventurer, or
Yeah,
something of that sort, and they've certainly made Camille very valuable.
absolutely. Looking over here on Carousel, there is a Caitlyn and a Jace. Caitlyn can be super valuable to the experiment players. But it is
Yeah.
not going right away.
It's going to be Elle who takes Caitlyn, and I think Elle was playing that Zeri reroll, so Caitlyn could be a sniper that offers her some value, but it's just tough because I feel like stabilizing with this sort of front-to-back composition can be really difficult when there are such powerful threats in the game in
Yeah.
a triple prismatic lobby.
She did slam, exactly, yeah, the Maddie, the blue buff, and the Caitlyn's going to make wonderful use of the blue buff yet again, and the IE, so it's not a bad trade-off to make at all. But, you know, we're still level 6 at 4-5, and yes, we've hit our 3 stars, but it seems to be still somewhat of a sticky situation to get out of.
I agree. This does look like a difficult spot. We'll see if the rest of the stage holds good things for Elle. She is fighting Hula Hooper, who was playing that Build-A-Bud Violet and has gone to level 8, has found the Rumble as their main tank. So this is really just a classic situation of tempo versus reroll, and we'll see if the Rel is able to hold out for long enough as she's taking heat from all sides. The DPS is just not enough coming out of Caitlyn, coming out of Zeri. It's bad news for Elle as we head into the anomaly round.
I feel like a really good, you know, anomaly roll could absolutely change a lot of players' boards. But, you know, here I'm looking, there's no Silco on the board here for Dominator with the Black Rose that we see fairly often. So looking to put the anomaly on a different unit, you know, perhaps the Casio, or something good for Elise as a tank, as that's probably, you know, a unit that's going to stay on this board forever.
Yeah, I think the scariest thing is when you have giant-sized Elise, and she's literally just huge. Just
Yeah.
a huge spider. That is a little bit intimidating to me sometimes, but we're going to get Deep Roots Garen, which I think is something that we've seen a lot this set in
Yeah.
terms of just a really strong tank that stays right in the middle of your board, and as long as he's alive, your backline's going to be alive too. I am a little bit concerned for Stacky that there's no late game carry on this board yet, and it doesn't seem to be super clear that she's going to be able to go to level 8.
Yeah,
Or
I
level
mean, there's
9.
a lot of money there, but at the same time, a lot of units are missing. So, you know, maybe you can sacrifice the level 9 for, you know, 3 stars in a reroll comp, sure, but it can be a little bit more daunting when you get, you know, towards top 4 late game.
Yeah, this is a challenging spot to play out, right? Because I think you really do have to gauge how strong are you with +2 Black Rose, and what's your end game? Are you going to be playing more towards sorcerers, or are you going to be playing more towards dominators? And a lot of these are going to ask you to make a call on the rest of the lobby that can be difficult to make when you're losing HP at this rate.
We've got Laconic Priestess here on 2 HP. Who knows? Maybe we get another Prismatic Orbs on these chickens. Okay, they're raptors, but chickens.
Chickens are fine. Fine by me. I think that would be really great for Laconic Priestess, but we have to remember it would be really great for Elle. It would be really great for at least one other player in this lobby.
Yes.
And it could... Well, maybe too much to ask. There is not
Yeah.
going to be another one.
Hey, we can have a little bit of hope, you know?
Yes. Laconic Priestess is doing what might be their final roll down of the game. I don't think they're going to be inclined to make this red buff given they have 2 sources of wound already. But we will see if they don't have a better item for this Silco, as I think it might have to be the Static Shiv.
Yeah.
Let's reroll one of the bows first. In any case. Too slow.
Oh, unfortunate. I don't think this is going to survive an Anomaly Twitch 2 with a Bruiser Mundo.
Yeah, Bruiser Mundo has been strong for basically the entirety of the set.
Complicated.
Synergizes so well, and as Twitch fires away, we might have to say goodbye to Lacana Priestess, who was one of the recipients of the Prismatic Pipeline, but got it a little bit late, and I feel like they really suffered for maybe the lack of tempo. Here we have Echoes, though, whose Exalted Adventure has really put them in a very strong position. I think having a 5-win streak at this point of the game puts you on a wonderful trajectory for the rest of it. And as far as I can tell, it is going to be an Anomaly Garen as well. Just a very powerful frontliner, reliable for most of our players here. And as the rest of the stage plays out, we are going to see a battle of two of our stronger players. Rainy Day having this LeBlanc backline, having Sorks overall. This Mel on their board is doing a ton of work, but the frontline fell first for Rainy Day. And despite the power of the 6 cost, it might be lights out. Here we can also see L getting a very valuable win, maybe over a Ghost, but a win is a win, staying alive, staying in the game, and the lobby is shaping up to be a narrower finish than the last one that we saw.
Yeah, a lot of these HPs are looking super, super close. I mean, 15, 17, 25, 27. It's looking like it's going to be a fight for the top 4. And maybe for the first as well. Although I see that Echoes is riding strong in first place. Maybe, who knows, getting a second first in a row.
That would be a really excellent way to start off the day for them. As we know, the points are going to carry over. And wow, that's a sight that I haven't seen for a little while. The Ultimate Hero Violet.
Oh, wow. Yes.
You know, fond memories of the days that was in every single game, sometimes on several boards a game.
I mean, I remember also, you know, the powder rerolls, and you would just reroll the anomaly. If you had to roll 50 gold, you would roll 50 gold, but you would get that 4-star no matter what, and it was your win out.
Yeah, really crazy. You know, Rainy Days, Mel, and LeBlanc duo carries are going to do a number on kicks here, and those two are certainly on their last legs, Kicks and L. Tough ways to go out.
This is another Black Rose +1 if it gets picked up here.
Oh gosh.
That would be a +3.
Yeah, and Stacky's gonna get it. No denials.
Yep.
Wow.
Incredible. Now look at this, left with only emblems. Goes for the Firelight.
Yeah, maybe I'm misremembering, but Lekith, I'm not positive on what they're playing, but that's all right. We have 7 Black Rose in our game, which it's definitely like more common than some of the other chase traits, some of the other prismatic traits, and certainly the Scion is not the strongest way to cap out your board. But a Warwick and a Mordekaiser are very good ways to cap out your board.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, even just looking at these LeBlanc, these Silco items, they look amazing, you know? Although I fear that we're not getting much value out of the Aegis right now on the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, that's tough to play around, right? I do think Mordekaiser could be on the side with the Scion, giving some of those extra resistances to such a big tank. But looking at this matchup against the Ghost of L, I think Stacky seems to be doing well enough so far. The Scion is still alive, has revived, and it's that was a closer end.
That was very
closer
close.
end than I thought.
That might have been a ghost board diff.
Yeah, it very well could have been. And it's tough because if you have your last carry alive on the opposite side of the sniper unit, it really does receive a ton of damage from the snipers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Stacky lives to fight another day, and Echoes, despite the fact that she was win streaking for quite a while here, maybe Ziggs Camille is falling off just a little bit. And we don't see that many Ziggs Camille boards.
I
She's
mean,
falling
come
off a
on,
little bit.
that's got to be a novelty.
Yes, for sure.
What isn't a novelty, however, is that Mundo with an infinite amount of HP. I mean, hitting the Bruiser emblem to play that Mundo with the Twitch, it's just that's a gorgeous board from Kicks.
I agree. I think in terms of the additional power on this board as well, those are certainly interesting Victor items. Maybe Kix wishes that was a Warwick, but nonetheless, Victor has provided a ton of value to this fight, allowed Twitch to scale up, and the Scion that had so much power in the fight against the Ghost of L got crowd controlled for a large part of this fight by Elise and by Victor. And so you can see that Stacky's fallen down to 1 life, and Echoes has as well. The endgame is certainly proving to be quite spicy, as the only person who's very safe from elimination is Lekith.
Yeah, I believe that maybe Rainy Day's on 2 lives, but everybody else, looking for, depending on the loss, could be 1 or 2 lives, and then everybody else is ready for elimination.
Yeah, it's tough. I think there are a certain number of contested units this game that aren't generally contested, but you can see how many players have prioritized the Garen frontline, have been playing around Dominators in general, and the relative success of someone like Kix, who might have low rolled in other respects, it's that I don't think Kix had to roll very hard for the board that they ultimately ended up hitting, and that's shown to be valuable. They are stronger than some of the players around their HP. It just is going to come down to matchups. Is somebody going to have a really bad matchup, or alternatively, is someone going to get into a matchup against someone who's just way, way too strong?
Yeah, I'm curious about the item switch that Kix just made.
I'm curious too.
The last Victor on Victor, if I'm not mistaken, Victor, transforms every source of AD, AP, anything into AP. I wonder if he still applies the actual effect of Last Whisper. I'm assuming he does on his auto, but that probably not on his ult.
Yeah, this fight's also proving to be really close. Violet has lasted for a very long time, and it might come down to the Edge of Night on Twitch redirecting the Violet over and away. And, oh no,
it's not
it's
enough.
Lights out for Kicks.
This Black Rose Warwick looks a little scary, if you ask me.
Oh, I agree, and
that's infinite healing.
Yeah, and I think if Stacky just doesn't move for the rest of the game, they're going to be really, really happy with the value that they get out of this Aegis of the Legion. But no, we moved the Aegis to someone else!
Okay, but the Aegis is back in place.
It's back in place. I do want it to be on our frontliners as well.
Yeah.
But it's getting value on Warwick now, and that can make a big difference. Okay, I think I know why Edge of Night went on Twitch. It's because we haven't seen Lekith for a really long time, but I know what they're playing now. She's playing this Smeech Ambusher board, and it's going completely nuts. Camille has a Firelight emblem. The Smeech dove into the backline. Scion didn't last at all. And,
oh my god.
Yeah, I know why.
That makes sense. I'll take it. And it's down to 1v1, Lekith and Rainy Day. I mean, looking at these boards, Rainy's got this really good looking Mel on their board, but honestly, I mean, and the Jinx 2 comes out from Lekith, it's going to be a hard fight to win.
It is going to be a hard fight to win. I think that, the way that things are currently playing out, maybe Rainy Day is going to be forced into a situation where it's going to have to be and best of 3 or nothing.
Yeah.
But just look at all the power over on the other side. Flurry of blows, providing all of the units in the front line a lot of attack speed, providing all of them extra crit.
At
And
least
just
the Mel escapes the Smeech. And the Mel will also provide Rainy Day with an extra round
that extra
to try
round
and
might be the
hit the
biggest
end as
deal.
well.
Yeah. Not on Carousel though. No
That's
6
unlucky.
costs here either. So no real chance for a Mel 2-star coming through. And Rainy Day will pick up a Watcher emblem, which will push them up to Spore Watcher. But I do have to wonder, is that enough? Or are we just praying that, Mordog has some sort of divine intervention here, because that Smeech board is terrifying.
It
Oh,
really is.
that's summon intervention. LeBlanc 2.
LeBlanc 2 is not bad, but even then, like, LeBlanc's damage is a lot more valuable over time than on burst. And I feel
Yeah,
like it won't be enough to make it through.
yeah, I agree with you. But, kudos to Rainy Day for pushing the Emissary Sorcerer board to this point in the game, because I think that this is one of the more undervalued ways to play Sorcerers right now.
Yeah.
And it's definitely showing that it has some merit up against what were some pretty powerful boards in the rest of this lobby. But look at how fast it just gets run down by this mutant Yordle and his ambusher friends.
Mutant Yordle. Yeah, sounds about right.
That is an interesting way to close out game 2 here in this lobby. Lekith dominating from the middle of stage 5 onwards, and we are just going to be going to we're just going to have our scores for you in a second, as all the other lobbies have concluded as well. So yeah, lobby A really bringing you a banger with a ton of people playing for the placements of between second and maybe 6th place, but Lekith was just so dominant at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that board was gorgeous. Coming from the start, I feel like the reroll was a little slow on hitting the 3 stars. It was a little scary, and then the Echo came out, the 2-star Echo came out super quickly with the right anomaly, and it's just the power just went through. I think picking up the Firelight emblem on Carousel for Camille made a huge difference as well. It was yeah.
Well, I agree completely. I think that there were moments where we might have overlooked the power that Lekith was getting, because we as casters either didn't have the presence of mind or didn't have the full context. But when we saw it for a brief moment, Lekith found diving in Echo certainly one of the most powerful anomalies that you can have on Echo, because of the crowd control and Omnivamp that offers. And
Yeah.
Echo's really an ideal duo carry for Smeech. But we also saw Lekith in the stage 5 carousel pick up that Firelight emblem that you called out, and we were like, oh, Lekith only has emblems to choose from. Well, the Firelight emblem was really good for them.
Absolutely. And we got our standings here. Riley has gone 2-2. Looking good.
Yeah, in terms of consistency, Riley has leapt out above the rest of the field. It is just a 2-game sample size, so no real trends to comment on. But some of the other players who had better performances in the first game ended up having worse performances in the second game, and then vice versa. So normally, maybe not normally, but sometimes there are players who are just really top-the-notch consistent in this kind of tournament, and you might see them get 24 points in the first 3 games before the competition really levels up for that final game. But as it is, the scores on the whole are looking kind of stable, are looking kind of close, so it might be a very heated competition for the 8 spots in our final lobby after round 3.
Absolutely. And I mean, the scores are, they're all over the place. I'm looking at Laconic Priestess here, who got a 1st on game 1 and an 8th on game 2. And, TFT at the end has so much RNG that sometimes you just can't escape the 8th. And it's unfortunate. It is what it is. But all of the points are looking fighting.
Yeah, it is going to be very close, and we have our lobbies for the 3rd round of the evening. Lobby A is going to be VUDT Nora, Poet of Ravens, Mizuki, Laconic Priestess, V, Rainy Day, Ponyo, and Song Yuchi. I think that that could be a great lobby to look at. So are all of the others. We have Echoes, Lekith, Celeste Dragoness, some familiar faces over in Lobby B, and in Lobby C, Sai, Lily Lena. I want to see another Urgot game. I think Unleash the Beast Urgot's really cool.
It
I'm glad that
is.
we got to see Lily Lena play that in game one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean that, and it was also giant-sized Urgot, right? The thing took up the whole screen. It was ridiculous. But I still haven't seen a 2-star 6 cost, and I want it. I want to see it. I want like a 2-star Warwick running all over the board, just like Mel with infinite shields.
Yeah, I think out of all the players, Echoes might have been in a really good position to do it, but she did want to opt for the stable late game of having a Caitlyn too, and I cannot blame her. She did take
Yeah,
first in that game one and wasn't playing for like a super crazy win condition. But you know what?
absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna send it to a really quick break here before round three so we can get a little bit of water so we can give our voices a break, and we will be right back with more Monday Mayhem action. Welcome back once again to Monday Mayhem. We are here with our third and final preliminary round of the evening before we cut to our final 8 players, and we are here in Lobby A with some or, 8 players who most of whom we have not gotten to see play this evening. So we are going to have Mel's blessing, and that is going to be an interesting treat to see whether we are going to receive a very powerful cash out at 40 HP.
I think the Mel games are super riveting. It's, you kind of get to a point in those games where you're not too sure why everybody who's low HP is beating you, and then you remember that the blessing is there, and you're like, oh, great, let me lose my next 2 rounds, and I'll pop off again.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the concept of the stimmy originally came out in set 5.5, but it's come a long way since then, with players playing more proactively towards their loss streak strategies, or alternatively having better ideas of scouting and adapting to the new loot tables that have been introduced into the cash outs. We'll see whether there's like really strong cash out play here. Although I will also say one of my personal pet peeves is when you are losing in this portal and then you end up on 41 HP.
Oh.
I think if you end up on 41 HP, they should just give it to you.
I mean, sure, right? But then shouldn't they give it to you at 42 HP? Or you know what I
No, they should just give it to me when I get angry.
mean? Okay, that's acceptable. What I would really like to see from someone is maybe we get a prismatic here as well and like hard commit. Oh, never mind for the prismatic, but we could see some Cam Baron emblems here to go with the Mel's Blessing.
That's true. There are two augments here that do give a little bit of value to players who are playing more greedily. What doesn't kill you could amp up the value of that loss streak by a lot, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, looking at their board here, I do believe that there's a Lux on the board, but not the Academy commit just yet. And going for Patient Study. Again, playing into the loss streak.
Yeah, just a generically valuable augment. Definitely great if you want to play towards level 8. And does close you out a little bit more from those reroll lines. But there are very powerful level 8 options, and I think it was Sonyuchi who is probably just going to be playing around Sorcerers or Silco. We've seen so much Silco today.
That's true. Silco's just been everywhere. I mean, we all miss him. It's okay.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Mm.
Here in this fight, I think this Sorcerer backline is just such a strong way to start off stage 2. You have frontline, you have damage, or frontline in terms of shielding, and a lot of damage coming out of Lux and Zyra. So a win early on for Poet of Ravens, who has a lovely name.
Yeah, that's true. Poet of Ravens. I love that. That's great, actually. It feels like it's, right out of a book.
Yeah, right out of a fantasy novel or a little bit Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes.
Very cool. There's a Rennie and a Singed. I feel baited right now.
Right? I'm looking at those. It's like hard not to just like move my mouse over and click for them. It's like, buy it.
Yeah, but even with this sort of win streak oriented opener with these two upgrades, you can see that Poet of Ravens, hasn't taken the most powerful win streak augment. Certainly, we're not taking Two Trick here. We're taking Caretaker's Favor. We're trying to get to those higher levels and making sure that we get value later, even if we are strong right now, because we gotta stay up to speed with all of these players who are going to go on big loss streaks and get value out of that.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, there is also, always a fear of like, if you're playing for your loss streak, you're playing for that Mel's Blessing, like, maybe you're going to lose your HP too fast on the way there and get stuck in a spot where your cash out isn't that great.
Yeah, here we are though with Mizuki, who has Loot Explosion.
Ooh.
I think this is just like the greatest augment name ever. But you do have to kill units in order to get loot. So we'll see if Mizuki is able to kill some of those units as she goes up against V, who, that board's looking a little soft. Maybe we are going to get some explosions.
I mean, taking Loot Explosion, it always feels like such a gamble, but when you do get enough loot out of it, it's so good.
Ooh, but this is that's a tough decision to make. Are you going to make 20 gold, or are you going to pre-level? It's an awkward position where you have 3 one-cost pairs, and none of them is going to like streak you the rest of the stage guaranteed. But,
yeah, and I feel like making that econ right before carousel as well is like a good kind of comfort cushion to sit on,
It is comfortable for sure. No, I totally get what you're saying. Mizuki, I think, got her hands on a bow, so maybe that's a Titans on her board. As the rest of the lobby starts to pick, Rainy Day is off to an early win streak this game as well.
We're seeing the Urgot.
Ooh, Nora does have the Urgot upgraded, but maybe that is pushing 4 levels here. Nora does have Cluttered Mind, and that bench is full.
It absolutely is. And I mean, it doesn't look like a Urgot commit either. We're seeing Pit Fighter Conqueror in there, maybe a Conqueror angle towards the Ambessa, Urgot as an item holder, or towards the Vi as well. Either or works.
Yeah, I think Vi has really become like a really powerful late game entrant on a lot of boards, where I feel like before she might have been playable more so in Emissary, more so in Enforcer Vertical. Right now, I feel like she's finding a lot of value just as like one of the best bruisers in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the state of the game right now really kind of paves the way for her CC to be incredibly valuable. And I mean, she just does output a good amount of damage. And, Pit Fighter and Enforcer are both traits that you will often just so happen to have another one on your board. So it makes it a really great unit to fill a slot.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Ponyo is in a very powerful spot in regards to stage 2. We have a 4 win streak, and we do have the option to fight Rainy Day, so excited to see whether those two 100 HP players are going to fight one another. But man, this experiment spot here in stage 2 is just so strong as you get to clone the Trundle, clone the Zyra, and get a little bit of extra true damage on these units as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also having, the scrap value out of the powder there, just for the Trundle to have that extra item while we hold onto the rod, presumably later for a Rage Blade. It's just a really powerful spot to be in.
Yeah, for sure. That fight couldn't have gone any better as well. You saw Ponyo's powder release the monkey, and the monkey actually walked perfectly straight into the backline, which I feel like that so rarely happens.
I feel like it never happens. It's always like either powder's taking too long to cast, or sends it to the wrong unit, or there's got to be something there.
Yeah, a rare case where powder was not in fact a jinx, and Mizuki, the stage 2 could have gone better. We have 2 wins, 2 losses, and another loss. But, stage 3 could hold plenty more loot explosions. I think the main thing, though, is going to be so important. It's not getting dropped more rods. It's
oh my goodness.
Going to be hitting Smeech or Echo.
I mean, the rods are good for Echo, to be fair. You give him a Gunblade, a JG, your day's done.
For sure. But we don't have Echo.
Not just yet. Although I feel like slamming on the powder here wouldn't be too bad. If we're committed to playing Echo down the line anyways because of Ambusher and Loot Explosion, I feel like some items should probably be dropped if it's gonna be a win-lose no streak situation for the stage.
Yeah, I think making the Rabadons does make a lot of sense, like you said. I would wonder, is it better on Powder or is it better on Lux? And it is certainly stronger on Lux, but she is also potentially going to steal kills from Ambusher units.
Exactly.
That makes things a little bit harder to gauge. Is the value there? Is the value not there? But if you save HP here, to me, that's worth a lot more than getting a little bit extra loot.
That's true. I think it's highly dependent on the loot you're getting. If I'm not mistaken, the possible loot from Loot Explosion is really random. You could get 2 gold as much as you could get a 4 cost out of a loot orb.
Yeah, I think I got a Jinx, like just a full-on
just like a
Jinx
straight up,
out
like
of a
Jinx.
loot orb.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh hey, That's really good for the composition I'm playing. She's gonna explode some more loot. Thank you very much. Um, ooh, Little Buddies does seem really good in this position.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the experiments bet, potentially going for the 7 experiment, then, you're going to be keeping lower cost units on the board. You're going to get a lot of value for the Twitch and the window down the line. And I'm assuming it also would apply to a Warwick. Maybe a Warwick too.
Totally agree with you there. I think these AP slams are a little bit unfortunate, but that's just what you have to do sometimes. That Jeweled Gauntlet might find its way onto someone like a Mel later. I think that would be great. Rainy Day and Ponyo are both still win streaking, and it certainly doesn't look like Ponyo's is going to be stopped here because she's fighting Laconic Priestess, who is playing Chem Baron. And we saw Chem Baron get off to a bad start in game 1, but Laconic Priestess, they have the potential to bring it all back.
Don't forget the blessing. Chem Baron plus
Oh,
blessing.
I can't forget the blessing. I forgot the blessing. There's a blessing.
There is a blessing. I was looking at the loot table for the Mel encounter, and the possibilities are incredible. I mean, you have a 1% chance of getting 2 tactician's crowns.
That's true.
Right? You can get 50 gold, you can get 2 components and some 5 costs, you can get a spatula, a frying pan, anything, man.
And it certainly looks like Laconic Priestess is trying to play as much as possible into, well, spending the rolls from Epoch. I feel like she's really going for like an early Silco hit.
Yeah.
But also, like, without many items slammed and with these 2 Econ augments, we're gonna have to turn this game around hard when we either want to cash out and we just like need 1 win, or maybe we're on the ropes at the start of the next stage because we want to reach a cash out number that is starting to look a little bit unfeasible, and that's when the Laconic Priestess is going to have to start making use of that cash out, making use of the item slams that they are able to procure.
Yeah, and I mean, even with the blessing, like, they're gonna get the blessing on the next loss, but they won't be high enough in their
Ooh, there's a
Baron
Silco.
cash out. Ooh. It's not on the right side though. And it's not getting taken.
Mizuki might have been.
Perfect.
Wait, but Mizuki got the Echo as well, and that's going to make use of that Rabadon's. So certainly not a reason to deny the Silco when you can get so much more powerful yourself.
Absolutely. I think they've both just, bettered their spots incredibly. Like, I'm sure their losses will diminish as soon as they want them to. I know Laconic will continue to go for a couple more losses for the sake of the... I'm actually surprised that they're only at 260. I would have expected it to be 290.
Yeah, it might not have been from the start, like the first.
They might have won
game.
the first round or something.
I think they've lost every round, but I don't know if they've had Chem Baron in the whole time. We'll see.
Well,
maybe we won't see. But we'll see whether they're able to turn it around.
I believe.
I mean, this looks to me like it's the 2 win streakers, and it certainly is. Rainy Days, we haven't had a chance to see Rainy Days spot before, but they are in an excellent position with Gambler's Blade on the Ziggs, farming a ton of gold as they maintain an incredible HP lead. I think as long as the front line lives, the Ziggs is going to splash damage even across all of these clones, and Ponyo doesn't have the damage to get through Rainy Days board.
And the Mbessa. Oh, and we're seeing Betrayal here again.
Yeah, but it doesn't look as if... It doesn't look like Nora is in a position to play for Maddie. It was really a betrayal for the sake of having an early Mbessa. I might be wrong about that, but that looks to me to be the case in terms of where Nora's
Potentially. I mean, it's a tempo choice at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we'll see if all that tempo pays off, right? Because maybe it is really valuable for Nora to have a strong stage 3 because their cap later might not be that high. but you have to contend with the fact that there are people who are lost streaking in a very potent way. As we can see, that Laconic Priestess did get the stimulus package, and it is going to be 2 Thieves Clubs, which is maybe one of the more standard outcomes, but it's going to be really valuable if they have, well, they're going to have to do a lot of planning, because those Chem Baron items and those Thieves Clubs are going to have to find their way onto the whole spectrum of units.
Absolutely. And I also noticed that they're holding on to a pair of Ambessas, which is making it harder for Nora to hit.
Ooh, okay. A little bit of ratting, I like it.
A little bit of ratting. All in good spirit and good TFT.
Yes, for sure, in good TFT. That's a golem.
That's a Golemify. I wonder how much HP that thing has because it looks massive.
The golem looks pretty thick. I agree with you. I think
that is an HP health golem.
Well, if I'm not wrong, V's first augment is investment strategy, right? So the golem certainly did have a little bit of investment put into it. Yes. And there is a Warmog Slam, so I wonder if the Warmogs was part of the
counter,
what we ultimately fed to the golem.
Yeah,
but
potentially.
At the same time, I do have to say, like, if we are just going to be playing Kog'Maw, is that a high enough cap to make the golem like a really justified pick?
Are we?
Because it is a big sacrifice in terms of econ.
I feel like their board can go anywhere here. Like, they're not in a bad position either. Like, the Kog'Maw does have good items. There's a Zeri too there. It's looking like the golem is going to help out a lot through stage 4, and then, you know, there's a potential of hitting an early higher cost champion. You know, maybe Automata, but looking at a Malzahar, perhaps.
I would certainly like a Malzahar in this position, but we're losing to Laconic Priestess, and Laconic Priestess maybe didn't even want to win that round, but another win would take them above 400, and that would be potentially good enough to cash out. You were talking about Automata, and that is the crest that's being offered here. But Blazing Soul could be really good too.
We're taking it.
Okay.
Automata it is. Oh yes. I personally love Automata comps. I'm super sad that they're a little, you know.
Ooh, that's another Cumberan emblem.
Oh. That is 6 Cambaron on 4-2. And this...
Okay, but then the Laconic Priestess really wants to hit the Civica here, I think.
Yeah. I mean, on level 8 though, 3%, that's hard.
Yeah.
I think if... But it's so hard to make a choice here, because you want to hit that 500 cash out, but at the same time on 28 HP, you can't really sack anymore.
Right. She's really riding the line here in between definitely inting and like playing for a perfect win. And yeah, I mean, I think the matchmaking has proven to be pretty favorable here. Because getting a win really does just save us one more round. We're not on a loss streak anymore, and we can't really expect to lose 3 more in order to hit 500. I think we have to win rounds to hit 500.
Yeah, I think now's the time to be slamming items, but...
Wait, that's not the worst cash out in the world. I think the Voltaic Saber's pretty good on...
Yep, and there it goes.
On Silco. And... here's the thing, I think it can be valuable to take the Chem Baron Crest if what the Chem Baron Crest allows you to do is to put the Chem Baron items onto a unit, like a different unit.
Like the Mordekaiser in the middle of the board?
Like the Mordekaiser in the middle of the board. But I don't know if any of these Chem Baron items is like ideal for the Mordekaiser. So maybe if we find a different like Bruiser type unit, maybe that Bruiser type unit can use the Chainsword. I'm not sure exactly what the name is, but the Chainsword better.
Yeah, I think all I can think about is the Chempunk Chainsword, because I believe that's what it's called in League.
Also,
super
I don't
off,
even know if that item still exists. I haven't seen it built in a long time.
I've not played League in years, but you know.
Good. That's a tough loss. I think Laconic Priestess needs to like it's such a hard turn to do. But when you're playing Canberra, you have to be any lost streak trait in history. You have to be like attuned to the turn that you cash out, and like really
Yes.
be on top of what you think you'll need to do. That and that way, like you can sort of pre-move stuff in your brain the way chess players pre-move stuff in Blitz.
Absolutely. And I think it's tough also, like, clicking your cash out on Canberra and not having a Civica be part of it. Not hitting the Civica
Yeah,
there is massive because it's not only a great unit, but the max Cambaran bonus health for all of those cash outs you skipped, it's huge, you become so tanky.
I agree. That does make a tremendous difference. And now you can see Nora did actually hit the Maddie 3, so was getting value this time this whole time with the with this crowded bench. There's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff on this bench. Can Vi go on the board?
surely. I mean, honestly, drop a quick striker, play 4 Enforcer. Me personally, drop the Akali for the Vi. I don't know if that's the right play. That's just my first thought.
Yeah, I think Nora is leaning really hard into the trait web here, but I just think I would simply love to see Vi on the board because she's such a beast.
Yep.
Um, I think that would be one way to maybe win this round against the sorcerer player. We just don't have that much damage. I feel like, unfortunately for Nora, their items are like pretty split,
Yeah,
and that
that's
means
true.
that we don't have like a ton of punching power.
Hmm. These anomaly rounds are always interesting. I mean, knowing what anomaly is right for what unit makes a huge difference, and we're gonna choose to put it on Ambessa
Yeah,
here.
I don't love that on Mbessa, but I don't hate it either.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not best. It's not the worst, but they didn't have exactly a lot of money to work with, so it's kind of just take what you can.
No, for sure they did not. And ooh, Ponyo did opt into the Elise for the holder of those AP items,
Yep.
but the frustrating thing about this spot now is that we don't have 3 items to bolster our Dr. Mundo in terms of our front line.
Yeah. Although I'm looking at Mizuki's board here, and the Echo looks devastating.
Yeah, would love to see what anomaly is on this
Yeah.
Echo because we did see diving in make a big
Who knows?
impact in the
Maybe it's
last game.
another one.
That's
Last
that's one of the
chance.
good ones.
Whoa! That's so good.
Okay, and that is bad news for Laconic Priestess, who does seem
Yeah.
to have gotten a lot stronger. There's a Camille 3 on the board. I don't know where she came from, but look at Echo. Wait, Echo actually went like kind of
To
like
the
too far
wrong
away from the
place,
fight.
huh? Yeah. I mean, huge job for Laconic Princess, but that was. The Echo just kind of threw there.
Yeah, the Firelight Dash took Echo away from the action, and when you have last chance, I feel like it's in your interest for that unit to be a little bit at risk, right?
Yeah,
You
you want them
can't
to
just
die somewhat early to be able to stall for someone else.
Yeah, having the extra Omnivamp, having the extra HP, it turns what a board that like normally doesn't have that much frontline into a board that maybe suddenly has a lot of frontline.
Yeah.
And well, we know what happens when your frontline abandons the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Although now looking at Rainy Day, this is a 6 orc board. We have the Sorcerer Spat on Mordekaiser, which is usually a really good unit to have it on. And the Zoe, if I'm not mistaken, has Kill Streak Anomaly. 20 mana each kill. Let's just keep bouncing the cast.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this sorcerer spot seems to be one of the better sorcerer spots we've seen all day, both in terms of where we are in the game and in terms of how we've sort of piloted it. Because I think Rainy Day is genuinely in a spot to play for level 9 here,
Oh,
and
absolutely, and they're so
they've done
close.
like a really good job of orienting themselves towards level 9. They have the unit that they want to anomalize in terms of this Zoe, but
Mhm.
they didn't roll for anything more than one Zoe, and they have a stable frontline in terms of this Blitzcrank, but it's not like the best frontline in the world. I think
No,
they're
but
really
it's
doing the best with like a limited amount of resources, and that's going to allow them to hopefully cap out much, much higher at level 9. But we still have to do the roll down, and Poet
yeah.
of Ravens has contested some of these units.
That's already an Elise 2 with the sorcerer spot, and I do think that Elise has one of the best AP scalings for a sorcerer spot. It's just a lovely unit to have, and that is a LeBlanc hit. Maybe
Yeah.
being able to put a 7 sorcerer in here. Yep.
8 sorcerer on the board, baby. That's a lot of value. I think. Oh, there's the Elise as well. That really
Oh
rounds out
my.
the board
Yep.
wonderfully. There's an Amumu on this board.
Yep. That's a Mumu. It's just 2 Watcher.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly out of Mordekaiser now that we've sold both copies, but the Elise is gonna help a lot. And 8 Sorcerer has a ton of power here in this late game. You do want to slam those Thieves' Gloves.
Yeah.
Ooh, it would be bad if. Yeah, I feel like that was a lot of action to take in one turn for Rainy Day, but because they didn't, move items over to the Blanc, because they didn't get all of the Thieves' Gloves on, that could have been avoidable loss, and that exposes them to more risk than they would otherwise want. Although I can see on the side of the screen that they've just hit LeBlanc too, so not bad.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad at all. Song Yi-Chi here at level 9 as well. Really...
5 Academy. Although, I'm a little surprised to the choice of anomalizing the Quirky here. Maybe they didn't have a Heimer yet, because it is a 1-star Heimer that I'm seeing. But it feels odd to me to put the anomaly on a Quirky when, the Quirky's not benefiting from the Academy buffs at all.
No, I agree that Quirky is not necessarily the best option in terms of all the buffs that your board is getting, but the Academy buffs at the same time, they're not the strongest
they're not that
buffs
huge.
ever.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe just taking the first acceptable anomaly is the best decision for Song Yi-Chi in this spot. And you can see that she's already at level 9, and I think she's had a good amount of gold to spend on level 9. So really just taking the first available anomaly, that might have been the goal here. And now Ponyo going to level 9 as well. This lobby certainly seems to have a little bit more econ on their mind than the other 2 lobbies that we've watched, and that has a lot to do with the players being able to sack for the stimulus package, huh?
Yeah, and watching Ponyo reroll for the past couple rounds has been kind of interesting, because I'm sure that they're also thinking that they've seen enough Twitches to potentially have a Twitch 3 by now, and you don't necessarily want to pick those up because you're holding so much money on your bench, but as you keep rolling and you keep seeing them, it can feel a little bad.
I agree. I feel like this board just not necessarily fully optimized. And Twitch is a hard composition to play as far as I know. I've had tons of frustration trying to play this unit, but when you end up in a spot going up against so much firepower and all of those sorcerers, and you don't have a little bit of sustain, or your frontline dies just a little bit too fast, that's the result. Ponyo having a frustrating end of the game after setting themselves up pretty well with Anomaly and with a win streak for the early game.
Yeah.
Or Experiment.
Looking at Laconic Priestess here, though, still on the 7 Chem Baron. Lost their last round, which is a little bit daunting on 1 life now.
Yeah, to me, this is scary. I feel as if there could be a Thieves' Gloves on Savika.
I agree. I was gonna say.
It's just those cinched items just look so appealing on Savika.
Oh my god, the Corky's erasing everything.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the end of the fight was closer than I might have expected.
And this Echo. Double Hodge.
Well, Rainy Day has secured themselves a top 4. Now top 3. And they outplaced their contester, which always feels good. But, because maybe 1 or 2 rounds of hesitation, Song Yi-Chi has a significant HP advantage over Rainy Day. And when it comes to fighting Mizuki, who really seems to be dominating here, I have to wonder if that is going to come back to bite Rainy Day.
We will find out. And I'm looking at this Aegis on the Garen, and it's getting so much value. I mean, honestly, that's an incredible
for sure
support item to hit here.
Yeah, and just look at all of the extra upside that we're holding. We could have a powder 3 on our board at some point. We are holding gold to go to level 9, where on level 9, we can keep the infrastructure of our board the same, or maybe even drop this Loris, who I don't think Loris is providing a lot other than Enforcer and a little bit of shielding. So there's a lot of upside to get stronger here, and that puts the challenge in the spot of the other players here. Songyuchi, we're fighting her Ghost right now, and she does have the Rumble too, so that looks a little bit scarier than it was before.
Although every time we see that Smeech or that Echo jump, it's, you know, it's scary for the backline units. The last chance. That healing.
Yeah, and it looks like Rainy Day did beat Songyuchi here. And that could be bad for Songyuchi, who, well, Rainy Day is fighting Mizuki, and I think Songyuchi is also fighting Mizuki, and it just comes down to which of them has the Ghost. Because the Ghost might make all the difference.
The Ghost could make all the difference, and I mean, now they're both on 1 life. It could be a double elimination again, that's entirely possible. But looking at this Corki, he's super scary.
Yeah, the last minute decision to frontline the Jace, I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Corki's Anomaly is providing a lot of value, hitting the entire frontline with the center of the universe, but is there going to be enough damage on the ambusher? Smeech jumps around, Echo's already gone. Wow, a victory over... That's maybe a little bit unexpected, but...
Yeah, kind of, right?
Ooh. Sorry, my thoughts are running everywhere right now.
No, you're fine. Yes, Sork +2, not even +1. Rainy picked up another one off of Carousel. It was on Carousel earlier. I completely missed it.
Well, that is really strong. Maybe that is why they outplaced Poet of Ravens. Sorry, Poet of Ravens. Rainy Day was a little bit lower HP. Maybe just on the right side. I think that this is going to be the real version of the fight against Mizuki. And the positioning has changed slightly, so we'll see whether Smeech is able to find an avenue into the backline, whether Echo is able to get a lot of value from Last Chance.
The Smeech is getting CC'd and destroyed, really.
Wow, Echo had a lot of splash damage onto the backline, but fell in the end as well. Really just...
I think Rainy's getting a ton of value out of their Elise as well, and the oh my god, I want to call it Ajaxos, and it's not what it's called. Adaptive Helm. There it is.
Yeah.
The Adaptive Helm on Elise as well is just proving to be great. The extra cast, the CC, I mean, stopping the Smeech from jumping to the backline like that is making a huge difference.
For sure. I think all of our players have picked up something valuable here. Mizuki got anti-heal, maybe going on that Jinx just for the splash. Songyuchi got Vow for her Rumble. I think that could be really, really impactful in terms of getting multiple casts off. And then Rainy Day, of course, picking up Black Rose for an additional level or a +1.
Yeah. What unit is that? Is that a Nunu? That is a Nunu.
Yeah, providing Visionary with Morgana and Bruiser.
And Bruiser, right?
And Bruiser.
And all the emblems.
Sure, why not? But this is the battle for second place here.
Yeah.
And one of these players is unfortunately going to go down because I don't see a Mel on either of these boards. There's a lot of damage coming out of this Sorcerer board. And in a front-to-back dynamic, that might be all the difference.
And it is. I love that animation. The Poros is so cute.
Yeah, the Poros is so cute. So, +2 Sorcerer proving to be very strong. Rainy Day getting at least second place. Feels bad for...
picking up a Warwick here.
Oh, Warwick makes this board so strong. I think I've had a chance to play with this myself.
Yeah.
And the way that if you keep Warwick alive, Warwick will just like reset on all the targets that Smeech kills.
Gotcha.
And it makes a huge difference for the pace of the fight. But it doesn't look like Warwick could get focused down just being in the front line straight away. So we'll see if that makes a difference.
I'm also noting that there is 2-star echoes on the board.
Yeah, Warwick's dead!
He's gone. The Smeech is surviving way longer than he should. He's been on a bar of HP for the longest time, and it's not enough.
Wow. I feel like I haven't seen many ambusher boards that are stronger than this, but Mizuki's really struggling to deal with the front line of Rainy Day. This Elise just lasts so long in the fight.
Yeah. I think, maybe it's send it all in for the Echo 3 here as a win con.
Yeah, I think that you have to try, and Mizuki does have a little bit of gold in order to try, but
Yeah.
Rainy Day is capping out on level 10, so also really scary because Rainy Day just looked that one life in the face and said, "Screw it, I am going 10." So here's the roll down that's going to impact a lot. That's not enough echoes.
No, that is definitely not enough echoes. There's no echoes. So many Garens. Well, they skipped an echo.
That is what it is. Too late now. Have to make a decision. Spear of Shojin could be really good for the Jinx.
Yeah, huge difference.
And now we are holding the Warwick in the backline. Switching sides with this Aegis can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but we'll see if there is a positioning difference, and now the Elise is on the opposite side. So that's a good start. Oh, and look at Warwick go.
The jumps. Wow.
Oh, there's so much splash damage in the backline.
Oh, does the Smeech live? The Jinx.
Well, Jinx lived long enough to cast, and it can be bold to make a positioning change in the last at the last stage. Just trusting yourself to get the micro done. I'm proud of Mizuki for making it happen, and she really did come out with an excellent play to top out Game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge win. That Warwick jumping like that. Such a great unit. I'm glad that they buffed him, just a little bit, because he felt a little obsolete when the other 6 costs came out.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm sure the opinions are a little bit split on whether he should or should not have been buffed, but it's exciting to watch at the very least. I think that making the adjustment to have Warwick in the backline instead of starting the fight off in the front line, that made a really big difference, because you can see the difference between when Warwick gets focus fired and when he is enabled by and enables your other ambushers. So that was just a really great play to close out the game for Mizuki.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that Lobby C is we're waiting on results from them. But in the meantime, that will look like kind of... Oh, we get to see the finale.
Wow. Two familiar faces, like we were mentioning before,
Yep.
Riley and Lalilina. Riley is the one with the Urgot this time, and the Urgot is lasting for a shocking amount of time. Both of these players did end up re-rolling. Both of them capped out very high. The Malzahar is on the... Wow, level 10.
Level
10 Urgot.
What?
And level 9 Renata. What was the portal? What happened here?
I'm confused. How did the... No encounter?
No encounter?
What? Okay, sure.
Nah, this isn't normal.
It's not normal. Oh my god, look at those traits. Imagine having bronze for life. I know that Riley doesn't have it, but just imagine.
Yeah,
Tomb Raider. Oh, that's where all the items are from.
Tomb Raider for Lalilina. And then, there's this Warwick on this board as well. Not resetting as much as we saw in the previous game, but I'm not sure if there's enough single target damage to deal with this Urgot.
It looks like the rockets from the um, artillerists are doing massive work.
Yes, for sure.
That
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that is a LeBlanc too as well. And we're sitting on 4 experiment, which is I feel like when you're sitting on 4 experiment, it kind of just like scratches at the back of your head. You know what I mean? You
Mm,
want to put a 5th one in, you don't have the space. You want to take one out. Is the Zyra bringing you anything? Like it's kind of just like a back and forth of how do you cap out your board when you're on stage 7? By the way.
yeah, for sure. I think Riley is playing with the mutation survives, so the Zyra is providing the extra value, providing the extra experiment bonus, and that's how this Urgot is chewing through the Sentinel front lane like it's nothing. Because in addition to Shred, in addition to Sunder, it has the extra 2 damage, but it's a little closer than last time.
Oh, if that cast went through.
Yeah. Wow, that's a really like razor thin ending to the game for Riley, but very happy to see her take first place this time after going 2-2 in the first 2 lobbies.
Yeah, that's a very, sustained high placement over multiple games.
Yeah, I mean, she certainly has the competitive pedigree, even if she's not playing as much TFT anymore. Just happy to see her show up in one of these tournaments, any kind of tournament, whenever is possible, because TFT is a great thing. And if you're able to keep TFT in your life as you move on to other things, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, that lobby though looked super riveting. And what happened to have the reroll comps make it all the way up? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know if they just got like 500 gold in the early game or what, but Riley is out to a 3-point lead over the rest of the field as we head into the finals. And we have our full standings, and we can confidently say our top 8. So Song Yuchi had a great performance in all 3 games, very consistent, and we saw her take 3rd place in lobby in our 3rd game.
Yep.
But that's put her in 2nd place overall with 19 points. And below her, from 18 points down to 16 points, we have Kix, Layli Lena, Rainy Day, Lekith, Sunny Angel, and Hint. So a lot of players that we have had a chance to spectate, and a few players who we are very much looking forward to spectating in the finals.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great final game. I'm sure that we're going to see some more Urgots. I'm sure that we're going to see some more Warwicks. I believe in the experiment. But it's going to be good to see how all of this plays out. I'm excited to see what the encounter is going to look like. If we're going to get a triple prismatic again. Who knows?
I'm with you. And I also have to wonder, how cutthroat is this going to be? Because for 2000 RP, I would do a lot of things, but I don't know if I would ruin my friendship with Riley if I had 16 points and she had 22, and I just like had to grief her in order to have a chance at first place.
Oh, you gotta do it. That's true competitive spirit right there. If I need to grief you, I will. Thank you very much. I will take my placement. But, I'm just like this.
Yeah, sounds good to me. We're going to send it over to a quick break before our finals so we can get fully prepared to bring you the last round of action here. We've been Invective and Domino, and see you very, very soon. Welcome back to the final game of Monday Mayhem here at Gal. We have our final lobby with Riley, Songyuchi, Kix, Layli Lena, Rainy Day, Lekith, Sunny Angel, and Hint, and we are off to the races with a trainer golem.
Oh yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about for a final. And right away, Sentinel, Visionary, and Cambaron? I'm sorry, what?
Yo, I think Songyuchi has a game plan.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just, have your cake and eat it too. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. I feel like this is one of those rare situations where you can actually get like meaningful Cambaron in the Renata composition if that's what you are going to be playing here.
yeah, absolutely. And even here as well, like from round 1 we get a Ezreal and Kog'Maw drop, and it just so happens that the golem is Automata Bruiser Academy.
Wait, that's tough to deal with as well.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one thing to have like 3 synergies that match up, because then what if you low roll the units? But if you have like the powerful 3 costs in the composition, you're good.
You're good, and you're starting off strong, like we're seeing. Okay, this is tougher. Having the sniper bruiser is great, let's say if you're playing experiment, but the pit fighter, I mean, then again, Urgot.
Wait, yeah, it actually all fits.
Actually, you know what? Fits. It all fits. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Oh my goodness.
All you need is an experiment spat, and maybe you'll get one here if you reroll. I think Thorn-plated armor is not one that I mind taking, but Bruiser, the heavily smash?
That's huge here. And the Tristana hit is pretty good as well. Make 10 first round.
Ooh, yeah.
With a Rage Blade?
I like this opener. I like this opener quite a lot.
Can't disagree with you.
We will see if the other players in our lobby do get off to a hot start, because we see an Urgot 2 here for Lekith, and that's going to come with this Pit Fighter augment that I can't remember the name of. So, yeah, certainly very powerful, and we'll see if that's an Urgot reroll, or, well,
Training arc. I mean, that does seem to be, that does seem to be, practical for Urgot reroll. I told you I'd see more Urgot.
I cannot believe... Is this Hint, who got offered a training, or like the tower defense?
Yeah.
And they got Artillerist.
But look at that golem.
Well, yeah, but like it goes with the Ezreal. Like it's actually not useless.
That's true. That's true. It's not useless.
If you're gambling and you actually like get something good out of it, like most of the time it doesn't give you anything good.
That's so scary, because what if they got dropped like, I don't know, Conqueror or something?
Yeah, right?
That's scary.
But then like you have to ignore something, and that sucks.
Yeah, but, inevitably.
Layli Lena did take a good early victory, especially over Riley, who's playing Spoils of War. That can make a big difference in terms of how much she's able to swing the early game, and whether she's comfortable leveling up on like this turn or next turn or even the turn after that, based on the result of that first round. So yeah, that can make a big difference, and we will see. As I'm not quite as happy with this training dummy as I am with some of the other ones. Or sorry, wandering trainer golem.
Trainer golems, right?
Maybe it's just ambushers.
Maybe it's just ambushers. I mean, it's kind of... There's some of these golems here that seem to be a little harder to work with, compared to some very straight line Cambaron, Sentinel, Visionary. I still can't believe somebody hit that, by the way.
Oh, for sure. And I believe that was it Rainy Day? No, it was Songyuchi. Songyuchi is Windstream, so not using Cambaron, but
Or
maybe
maybe
getting
Wind
some
Streak
extra.
Chimeran? Just a little bit of econ. Oh, never mind. But
Yeah, well, if you don't have Singed or Renata, then you can't really be
yeah.
playing
I mean, there's
Kenberry.
a Smeech on the bench, right? But at the same time, I can understand not wanting to force the Camberon in when you do have a very obvious win streak in front of you.
Yeah.
They are also running Epoch, so it doesn't look like it's gonna be a reroll board either.
Well, it definitely could be, and just like not spending the EXP really
Oh, that's
aggressively.
true. Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, like they're certainly not going to be rerolling very well on level 4 or 5, but they can still reroll on level 6. And, you do really want the Singed,
Yeah.
on that board. But then, yeah, you could level up. You could play around Heimerdinger and Academy as well.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a great many ways you can go, and I feel like banking on the early win streak is a good idea.
Yeah, but look at what Riley's been able to do here. 2 wins after that first loss. That that counts for a lot.
It
And
does.
Riley has made 10 gold, as well as getting 10, like the first cash out from Conqueror. So I feel like those are really good econ breakpoints to be hitting at this point. That makes a big difference for how far you're able to push the spoils board.
Yeah. And I'm seeing like a lot of these trainer golems will be super helpful to kind of get these niche comps out where you can play something on your board that you usually wouldn't be able to just thanks to that +1. +1 turns into a +2. You know, trainer golems kind of just give way to all of these boards that you wouldn't see usually all that much.
Yeah, I agree with you. Uh, I don't know where Hint is going. This is a
Yeah.
very expensive board for being level 4 because there's a Kog'Maw in our front line, and like we're holding 2/3 costs. Um, this has become like this has officially become awkward, and I think
Yes.
Hint needs to win rounds in order to make econ to justify what's on our board, because otherwise having a frontline Kog'Maw doesn't actually add that much value in terms of armor MR
I
this
mean, the
to this
Kog'Maw's
goal.
still alive.
Yeah, you know what? Really good take. Really
It's
good take.
alive.
Peter. I'm
Whatever.
glad.
You know? I'll take, like, I'm surprised it lived, but it sure did. The set just kind of casted and took the aggro away from the Kog'Maw.
Yep.
Works
It's just
out.
no notes on that. I think an early blue buff slam from Riley. I don't know what her spot is gonna start looking like. Here, I feel like Kix is just leaning really hard into Ambusher by slamming Titans and Sterex early and having the shop glitch. So we didn't see that earlier, but this neutrals round is going to be really significant in terms of whether they can find some smeeches, whether
Yep.
they are going to be playing more towards like a low cost or a higher cost reroll.
Yeah,
And
and it's, the shop glitch will kind of determine which way you should really be going with your board. If you get a bunch of speeches handed to you, amazing. Great.
for sure. But look at Sonichi. She just flipped the script completely after losing one round. Just like pivot the entire board to Kenberin units. But now we won a round. So what are we doing here?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, it's hard not to win that round. There's a Rennie, there's a Smeech.
Now we have a Smeech too.
That's it.
So yeah, I
Win
guess
streak Cambagerins is real.
we're getting the tempo back. Wow. That's gonna be hard though. That's gonna be really hard for Kicks to deal with in terms of
Yeah.
hitting Smeeches. There's a Smeech 2 out already.
On 2-7, that's tough. And looking at these items, I mean, the Hodge might come out here on this Smeech as well.
Yeah, it all comes down to whether Sonichi wants to like lean into the fact that she has a Smeech here, or if she wants to like play her traits like +1s that she got from the trainer golem. Because here I feel like if you play with a little bit of tempo, you just end up playing like Heimerdinger. And the items say you could play Heimerdinger, but you don't have any of those mana items yet.
Mm.
And what else are you going to slam other than this Dragon's Claw? It's hard to say, so we'll see.
It's hard to say. I mean, it kind of just feels like you have a ton of options. But it's like a ton of options, but no options at the same time. You need to slam something. You could grade for more. But the declaw kind of just is a safe bet.
Yeah, it's tough. Here we have Sunny Angel for the first time playing too much value. And it's really with an interesting setup that I think Sunny Angel wants to play Zeri reroll with it. But losing the round after you level up to level 6 makes that a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, for sure. I feel also like the HP disparity in this lobby is starting to be concerning. I mean, our top 3 is still, around 95 HP, and then we're dropping down into the 70s here for the lower half of the lobby.
Yeah, I agree with you. That is starting to be concerning. And we finally have a chance now to see Rainy Day spot, and it looks very concerning. I think Rainy Day took Salvage Bin in order to try to make something of this set of rods. And
Yeah.
like maybe if you get 2 components, you're able to split them up and turn each of these rods into something better. But unfortunately, we just have to make a Rabadons. And that means our items are split in a way that doesn't help us win streak anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the advantage of Salvage Bin is you can kind of slam whatever you want whenever you want, because so long as you sell the unit, you'll get all of your components back, but even then, like, it's just the components that they had at hand were just subpar for the board that they had. It's unlucky.
Yeah, and to me that this just doesn't offer a lot of direction until you're able to find like a 4-cost. Because when you find a 4-cost, then you can start moving these items, then you can start recombinating them into something that will work. But until that happens, you are really just looking like right into the void. You have to.
And I think the only thing that's going to be able to save their board is going to be an Ambessa. We'll get the Conqueror +1 in. If, getting your hands on another Enforcer spat could be huge as well.
Yeah. Kicks here, I think, has had a hard time of it since doing their shop glitch, because their shop glitch didn't really give them much headway into this composition. They're really counting on the the wolves round, wolves round. Sorry, to give them all of the smeeches that they need to win this game, because up until that point, really not enough to go off of here in stage 3.
Yeah, I think if you want to play ambushers from this spot here, the spot itself is fine, but it's a little late to see kind of a bench so empty. We're seeing Brenny 2 on the other side here. We're seeing a lot of boards that are gonna challenge this one kind of easily, and I think Kix needs a high roll here to save their game.
Yes, a high roll here would be very welcome. Over at the top of the lobby, Hint is on a win streak. It escapes me what her spot is, but I remember it. It's the Ezreal with the
yes,
the tower defense.
And the frontline Kog'Maw? Is it frontline still? That's what I want to know.
I want to know the answer to that question as well.
Can we talk about how the spat made it all the way to Liliana? No one took it. It went all the way to the last pick.
That is curious, because a spat in this situation, Liliana can definitely make something of that. Everybody in this lobby should be able to make something of it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that spat has so much value for so many people. Like, oh my god, my words. I'm sorry, but the Enforcer spat would have been huge. You can make like another Automata emblem. Like, there's a ton of options for a ton of people, and I'm surprised that it made it all the way to the top, to the last bit.
For sure. Now, Rainy Day has finally been offered a 4-cost, one that we thought that they needed. That Vi is gonna start making a difference. But look, it's just the sheer like variety of power that is on the board for him.
Yeah.
With Item Collector, with this Ezreal, stacking up behind this set 2, it's very, very tough to deal with. And you can see why Hint is on a win streak. In fact, Lady Lina and Hint are both making use of Rageblade stacking and these big, juicy front lines in order to get this win streak going.
Looking at Sunny's spot, this is interesting. Because we have this Trainer Golem and this... I'm not sure if that's tower defense also, but the Rebel with the kind of mixed in with the Automata and the Watcher, it's a melting pot. It looks super interesting, and that Zoe coming in on stage 3 as well.
Yeah, I gotta say I've never seen this board before.
No, this is completely new. I mean, it seems to be working decent. Like I see the idea, but I wonder how well it executes.
Like the real common point between these two traits is that they have 2-cost quick strikers. And there is a reason to be playing 2-cost quick strikers because you get too much value out of your first augment. But in terms of board strength, I think Sunny Angel has led themselves down a path that doesn't necessarily lead anywhere.
Yeah, it's a hard place to be because I feel like in that, picking up that Rebel +1 and having the Automata, my brain would default to playing Nocturne Akali reroll.
Ooh. Yeah, but Sunny did have, I think, like a Rageblade slammed or something.
Well, Rageblade is a decent Nocturne item. It's not best in slot or anything, but it's definitely not the worst thing we've seen. And then if you have an Automata emblem, you could argue that you're playing a Kog'Maw and give the Rageblade to the Kog'Maw.
For sure. Maybe it's a tough gear to switch in your head when you're originally playing, I think, around Zeri, but it's just tough to take the tower defense in stage 3 as well. A lot of the time that gets punished even more so than taking it in stage 2. But these shops are starting to get better. A pair of Alawis is a really wonderful start, and we can see that Kix has really been forced down the line of Camille more so than Smeech. And I hate to see that happening for them because Camille is not as reliable as she used to be.
Definitely not. I mean, we used to see these incredible Camille boards. The nerfs came through, and they were definitely deserved. But I do think that maybe the Powder 3 that we're seeing is going to help a lot here with the damage output. And it looks like it is going to get through this Vi. Yep.
I mean, Vi put up a fight, but Rainy Day isn't level 8 yet, doesn't have much needed upgrades. Whereas Kix, is starting to come online, and I wonder if Kix is even going to finish rolling for Camille on level 6, or if Kix feels comfortable pushing level 7.
I think no matter what, they kind of have to push for the Smeech along with the Camille, so maybe rolling on 7. I mean, your 2-cost odds on 7 are not bad either. If you're rolling anyway and you're this close to the Camille, there's a decent chance you're going to make it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do want to know what the best support item there is. My inclination leads me to say it's actually something like Spite, which does give 80 AP to the units that are surrounding the middle unit. And I feel like that's so valuable when you have ambushers who scale so much off of those base values. But I don't know, Moonstone does really solve a frontline problem for this composition. So
absolutely,
anything is good. It's just about what you think is best.
All of this comp needs is kind of like a little touch of everything to really pop off. So I feel like there's so many good choices here when it comes to that support item, because extra damage will just give you the burst you need, tankiness will give you the stall you need. It all works in one way or another, and it's just gonna come up to matchmaking on how well your item's gonna function.
Yep, for sure. Now, in terms of the way that the points are going to shake out, I would I would say that Riley has put herself in a really good spot to take first place. And
Yes.
at this point in the game, people are going to need to start beating her in rounds in order for her to maybe have a chance of going second, maybe have a chance of going third, and then somebody else takes that first place. Whereas some of the players at the bottom of the standings here are looking like they are in a really tough position. Sonyuchi was second place overall going into this game, but now you can see that, well, she's starting to stabilize with the Savika on the board, with the Silco on the board, but is it too little too late, or is it actually enough?
I have no idea, and we'll see. I mean, I'm looking at this Zoe 2 coming out as well. Like, both of these boards look like they would beat a lot of other boards in the lobby, but it's looking close. Wow.
Yeah, to me, like, that's a much needed victory for Sonyuchi. But I will say, oh, there's a pan. I
There is a
will say at the
pan.
same time that if she wants to win this round, or if she wants to win this game, or even just like preserve her standings overall, she's
Mhm.
gonna have to do better than beating Sunny Angel, I think, because
Yeah.
no, no hate. I just think Sunny Angel is not the strongest player in the lobby right now. There are like much stronger players, and that was a really close fight.
It was. That's true. But I do think that their power has definitely taken a peak right here. Like the Silco 2 is just massive, and the items are pretty good as well. I mean, honestly, I like the adaptive helm on the Silco here, and then the Jinx also comes out. The Visionary crest,
Whoa!
massive, plus
Wait,
two
that's super
Visionary.
creative.
I'm curious though. Do you ever slam the Visionary on the Silco over the adaptive helm? Maybe.
Well, I think that because of Unlikely Duo, you like really want to get both Jinx and Savika going.
Mm,
And it's interesting that Sonichi ended up taking Unlikely Duo and like being in a spot where, hey,
it
you
works.
actually do have a way to use both
Yeah,
your golem and like your cash out all together.
that's true. And I mean, it is Cam Baron at the end of the day, so like the Smeech will give Jinx the ambusher that she needs. The mana's coming in, and now all we're missing is AD items for Jinx, and maybe an anomaly on Jinx as well. Now that we have the Jinx on the board.
Yeah, Smeech would be giving Jinx Ambusher if Smeech was on the board. Smeech isn't on the board.
Well, she'll be. No, I feel like
I think Sonichi was at 7 Canberran, but there was
ah
a which synergies do we drop problem?
yes,
And
understandable.
the Sentinel frontline really does look like it has to be here, but maybe
Yeah,
Rennie does it.
I that's what I'm thinking. I feel like maybe the Rennie, although a Rennie 2 does give like a good sponge for incoming damage.
Yes, that's for sure. Um, wow, Rainy Day was able to fully pivot over to enforcers,
Wow.
and yeah, I think when we last saw them, it was like, what are we gonna do with this spot?
Yeah.
And like, I didn't really pick up on the fact that they did have enforcer from their golem, but now this board is really intimidating, and going up against Riley, that could make a dent in that points lead.
Absolutely. And I mean, the blue buff IE on the Caitlyn, as I always say, amazing items. And it just, again, also the same augment, Spear's Will, I think, which just makes a Caitlyn cast non-stop.
I think Hicks was our ambusher player, and unfortunately, she's out in the 8th place. It was just a really tough spot. When your shop glitch doesn't do shop glitch things for you, and
Mm,
instead it seems like the glitch is really just like I don't have any of my units. Uh,
yep.
I think that's not a good spot to be in.
That's
Now Riley
unfortunate.
is about to do her level 9 roll down, so that's
Let's
that's
see it.
very early.
It is. I mean, level 947, really ahead of the curve here. And if the roll down goes as it should, we're gonna We're gonna see a Heimer 2 come out, a Quirky 2. There's 2
Yeah.
Luxes on the board, so we have like space for the 4 Academy.
Well,
That is
that's a
the
really
Quirky
good
2.
start. The roll down is going to progress, and
And the
we are
Heimer.
going to have the Heimerdinger. Super great start to this because, look, the worst thing that could possibly happen is you. Well, that's not the worst thing that could possibly happen.
That
A
is
Rumble is
definitely
excellent.
not. Oh my goodness. It's a pair of Heimers. Alawi 2. That's a wonderful roll down. And but now
a
it's
good place to
slamming all
stop,
his
a good place
items.
to start making all of the items. There's a lot of backline itemization that you want to get on relatively quickly. You want to get the Archangels active on the Heimerdinger in particular. We also have the Rageblade and the Shivs of the world. And
Yeah.
the scrap component
great.
actually ended up working out as well. The sword is going to do nicely on this Corki as time goes on.
Yep.
And we are starting to take victories over the other Academy player. So to me, that whoa, that's a rumble.
That is a rumble. Oh my goodness.
It just happens for free, doesn't it, huh?
Honestly, some people are so... I promise you I was not so lucky with my games today.
You know, I think this is a great example of what you can do when you have a golem that doesn't offer you a lot of direction, because I think for most of this game, Riley was just operating off of a bonus to Sentinels, and now you have a 6 Sentinel endgame, which makes it like it does the job. It might not be the strongest thing at the end of the game, at the end of this lobby, but it's gonna do something. And over here, I mean, I think we're only using the Rebel from the tower defense, but there's 7 Rebels on this board, and that's a lot of work in itself.
It is a lot of work in itself, and going against this other board that is, of course, super strong, but not yet upgraded. Although the fight is super close. This Experiment Rennie is just tanking forever.
Yeah, I don't know if Lady Luna was one of the players who picked up a spatula off the carousel, but she's certainly got an Experiment spat in addition to the Bruiser spat.
Yeah,
so has the potential to cap out really highly, but I don't know why she's not rolling down just yet, because there's a lot of pressure on her for 30 HP.
Yeah. Also, Hint got a second Academy spat here.
Oh. Wherever did that come from? We have 2 academies, an artillerist. Yeah, this is all looking
This
really
is looking
wonderful.
pretty good. I feel like, you know, add a little Tristana to the board.
Yeah, Tristana would do really well here in terms of just rounding out all the synergies, giving us nice buffs, but is it just me, or does the front line seem like it's not strong enough against 8 Enforcer? Rainy Day's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like the front line just kind of melted very, very quickly. We are seeing Jinx and Kate here on Carousel.
No, it's been denied from Sonichi. I feel like that's a bit of a heartbreaker. Maybe some people actually started denying units on carousels again. Sucks to have it happen in the finals, but the stakes are highest here. So Hint is still our lobby leader in terms of HP. Hint having this powerful academy board, as well as, you know, Riley has a powerful academy board as well. I feel like they don't cap out very highly. They don't have quite as much room for 6 costs, but
that's true.
They are going to be doing a lot of damage to most of the players in this lobby, and Rainy Day seems to be one of the players who's in position to stop them, right? I think...
Oh, we're looking at some item movement around here.
Ooh. With the Jinx 2 having now adaptive, like you said, and is it going to be like visionary adaptive again?
Surely, right? Yep. Double adaptive. Okay.
I mean, I think this amount of casting on Jinx is going to be impactful in terms of like the stuns, in terms of the...
Like, look how
But
fast her mana bar is filling up. It's
yeah,
2.5
look how
autos.
fast the rest of the team died.
Oh no. It wasn't enough.
Ah, that's one of the conundrums.
Yeah.
And Riley did have a tough matchup here up into 8 Enforcer, but it wasn't the worst loss in the world. So there's still room to take like a top 4 and maintain your place overall in the tournament at first. And let's not forget as well, there's the potential to find a 6 cost here. There's a potential to find a Jace 2 here.
Oh my goodness.
We still have like a
That's
Heimerdinger to find.
Fully itemized Jace 2. That is scary. Not hitting the Heimer 2 there is really tough though.
Yeah. Now, this is Leica. We always come back to Leica, and she's got some crazy stuff going on. This Urgot probably has like 80 additional AD from the start of the game.
Yeah.
But he doesn't survive long enough into all of these academy units, into all this DPS.
And I think the Rumble is making a huge difference as well. Like the 2-star Rumble with the tank items. Maybe there's some upgrades on the Rumble as well. Like it just seems to be mowing through the whole thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was someone's ghost or if it was Lady Lena who was the other winner that round. But Rainy Day did take one of their first losses in a long time.
Yeah.
Wow, Lady Lena.
Here.
Oh, go ahead.
They need that Mundo too. Like yesterday.
That's for sure.
You know? The board looks so good.
Just look at the synergies. Have you ever seen this before? 6 Bruiser, 5 Experiment, 4 Sniper.
That's what I'm saying. Like the board looks so amazing, and it's just being in that spot and not having the Mundo 2 must be so very frustrating.
Yeah, I'm frustrated for her. Wow. But the Thieves Ghosts on the Elise have rolled very well this turn.
Yes, that's a gorgeous roll.
Lady Lena is guaranteed to be playing Riley, and that is a rematch of the final 2 of their round 3 game. It's going to be a ghost. So hopefully Lady Lena survives. Hopefully she finds that Mundo 2, because it would be a real shame to see this board go out in a position that it just couldn't find upgrades on level 9.
Yeah.
Like, these are we're not asking for the world here. We're asking for an uncontested unit 2-star.
Rainy Day's board is looking so strong. I mean, that Caitlyn is just massive.
Yeah, in the Academy mirror matchup, Riley's going to have the upper hand over Hint now as we get into our final 4, and we don't have any more Ghost matchups until the final 3.
Yeah. Looks like Riley will be fighting Rainy Day here, and I'm really curious to see how this goes. Like, Riley has incredible damage output here, but that Caitlyn that we just saw, double IE blue buff, I mean, it's 8 Enforcer. Take down, one of the high HP units, and then the damage buff and the attack speed just goes off.
Yeah, it gives me a little bit of anxiety to see Jace's pylon right in the middle of those 2 important backliners.
Yeah.
Because what if Caitlyn targets that? But like, it's just on the probabilities as Corki flies in between. Ooh, this is a hard fight to cast. There's so much damage being output on both sides.
Oh, and the Caitlyn takes it.
Yeah, the Academy players are coming to a bit of a stuttering halt here because Hint is on her last legs, Riley is on her last legs, and
1 HP and a dream.
1 HP and a dream. Why does Hint have 6 Hybridingers? I feel like this...
So nobody else could have them.
There's a little bit of scouting that has to go on when you see that Riley has already hit. But matchup against Rainy Day, we saw this go poorly for Riley. Is it gonna go poorly for Hint as well? Now as this fight goes on, I feel like the Caitlyn is already doing a ton of damage. The Vi has found her way into the backline, and this is just not close. 8 Enforcer doing tons of work in the late game.
Yep. I mean, 8 Enforcer, honestly, in the meta right now, like, Enforcer's such a strong vertical. It's really hard to just get through it when the +1 is there. Caitlyn does a ton of damage with the right
Oh, there's an
itemization.
experiment emblem.
Oh.
And it's on Leileena's side.
The hesitation. And there it is.
Like, you have to take it, but like...
Well, yeah.
Are you ready to play around it, though? That's the question. And there is not... There's, like, no Zyra on the bench.
Shame there's no Warwick.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I mean, what do you do here? Do you take out an experiment? I mean... Do you ever take out the Urgot here?
This is tough. I think, genuinely, I'm not sure what you can do.
I don't know, because the Urgot's getting no value. I mean, the Pit Fighter's on the golem. You know, it doesn't matter if he's there or not, but you have 1 gold. You can't exactly play something else. You can play another Caitlyn, I guess.
Yeah. We're getting into what might be our final fight. Mundo is falling awfully quickly. All of that HP turning to dust against the Enforcers, but the backline is still standing for Leileenina. Yeah, it's not enough. Rainy Day will take first place in our finals, and the point gap might be a little bit too big for Rainy Day to make it up for first place. But
it'll be close, I think.
Excellent performance with those 8 Enforcers, and really, like, it was a scary position to be playing in the mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Enforcer board somewhere was kind of just spooky, you know? I wasn't sure about the direction. Are you going to hit the units? Will you not? Is the pivot going to go smoothly? Oh, and we have our scores.
Yeah, wow, Riley in first place, but Rainy Day made a big difference in that final game, taking over above Leileenina, really making the difference to grab second place.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a wonderful game to watch. I mean, I'll always enjoy Caitlyn v. Caitlyn final boss fight, you know?
Oh, for sure. That was an excellent final boss fight. And even though Songyuchi had a tough game for a tough finals, she was able to get 4th place overall and will be rewarded with a little bit of RP for her efforts here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great game, and they fought super well for their placements. I mean, I'm looking at the pointage, and it is pretty close, although this week we only have 1 tiebreaker on the 21 points total. So I know that sometimes there's like multiple people with the same amount of points.
Yeah, I genuinely have like tiebreaker trauma, so like
don't even want to think about it. Yeah.
I'm glad to see it wasn't like the major determination between like one tier of reward and the next. Certainly not for like first place or second place, because tiebreakers for those levels of like difference, they just hurt sometimes. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You gotta discern players one way or another, and very happy to say that Riley, Rainy Day, Leileenina, and Songyuchi will be receiving these Riot Point prizes for their efforts in Monday Mayhem tonight.
Yeah, so congratulations to all of you. Do well with your RP. I think the last time I won RP, I probably bought the TFT Battle Pass, because free Battle Pass, why not?
Yeah, the Battle Pass is like, it's always been value. And I do think that in terms of just like, if you don't have the Battle Pass, why not get the Battle Pass, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's always some good stuff in there. That's always a good time.
For sure. We finally have our faces back, and don't you go away. We are going to be having an interview with, I believe, the winner, Riley, in a little bit. But do you have any highlights for the day, Domino?
I think big highlight was so many experiment boards, and not just purely Twitch carries. I mean, we saw some Urgot, Tristana that I always love watching, and then I also really liked seeing multiple boards with Mel, saving some HP, saving some placements in there at the same time. I think for me that was the highlight. Like just kind of playing with the finicky things to let you gain a placement or two. It's gonna help you down the line.
Yeah, I think there were like maybe a few fewer six costs than I might have imagined
Mm.
in terms of like swinging the game. But I do think that like we did see players itemize Mel, we did see players itemize Warwick, and Warwick really made a difference. And I think if I remember correctly, it was game two or game three where Warwick really just teamed up with all of the ambushers and
Mm.
demolished the backline.
Yeah,
After
absolutely.
whoever the ambusher player was, they had a pretty tough time in the rounds leading up to making that final change. I think it was Mizuki, right?
I think so. I think that's correct. And I think it was also the loot explosion game, right? I mean, we saw all of those items come out. The echo was huge with the double Hodge. It was a great
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I'm remembering it more clearly now. That was really great. I love Loot Explosion. I just
It's
have to
so
say it
good.
again. I think it's a funny name. I think it's a great augment. But
Yeah.
no, I gotta give kudos again to Rainy Day for playing out the spot from the mid game. Um, Getting Vi, whether it was off carousel or whether it was in one of those shops, that certainly
Yeah.
turned their game around. But at the same time, like when you are staring down like the barrel of an eighth place, you do have to make some tough decisions. You do have to figure out what are you going to do with the salvage bin, right? And at the
Yeah,
end of the
it's
day,
a make it or break it situation, right? Like you hit or you don't hit, and you have to make do with what you get. And at some point, I feel like hitting that early Vi, already having the items that were just sitting there on Camille was just like the perfect thing to get the game going for you, for them.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with the winner, Riley, who just came off a really dominant performance across 4 games of TFT. Congratulations on winning. Now that you've won 2300 RP, do you have any plans for what you're going to do with it?
I vaguely heard on broadcast something about the battle pass. And I was like, yeah, it's probably just that. I don't play League. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not buying skins. Like, it's just the battle pass.
That's
You could
real.
always, you could always get a new tactician or something.
Or I actually don't know how much the champion little legends are. So just win a bunch of tourneys, save up RP, go gotcha mode for one of those.
Yeah, amazing. I think that they changed the way that the pity works so that you just like accrue little tokens every so often in like milestones, and then like the tokens will help you buy the champion. So you don't necessarily have to roll all of them on one banner. But now we're getting into the weeds.
Okay, I'll figure it out at some point. I've never even bothered to look because I'm like, that's money. You imply I want to spend money on this game rather than like good food or something.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if you've been playing the game for a long time, you also have like infinite little legends.
That's true. The amount of eggs that I've opened over random things. I
So
mean,
many eggs. Anyway,
so many eggs.
Out of the 5 games or 4 games that you just played, which one was the hardest for you and why?
that last game. Okay, so I came into this literally just like I just want to play 2-cost reroll. Actually felt pretty good coming in because there are
That's what I thought.
some yeah, of course.
That's what I've been told.
I've been just Zeri and Urgot every game I can, like the occasional Tristana when I have the spot, and then the golems hit, and I was like, I'm not playing Zeri or Urgot. This isn't gonna work. Guess I'll figure it out. Academy works. I vaguely know how some of the 4-cost comps work. So we figured it out. Today was interesting because my lobby's got golems, no encounter, golems again. Just the absolute whiplash.
Wait, we actually tuned into the end of your game 3, and we were wondering how it was that you and the other reroll player both made it to like level 9, level 10. The other reroll player had like 2-star 5 costs, and you were level 10. Given that there was no encounter and no like real huge influx of econ, how did that play out? Do you have like a story for us?
I believe I had to take Starry Night on 2-1 and then hit 6 Urgot stage 2 and rolled like 2 times and hit Urgot 3. So I just had infinite econ to go up.
Okay.
Okay,
I mean, that's
good.
a high roll and a half, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think there was vaguely an Urgot contester, and then I hit 6 Urgots, and it's like, well, I win. I win the I win the duel now.
That's super fair. What do you think your highlight moment was? Like, what do you think out of the plays you made, the choices, if you pivoted, if you clicked an augment
I'm so sorry, I accidentally yoinked out my headphones. Can you repeat?
Oh, that's okay. I said, out of the games you played, was there a play or an augment choice or any decision that you made that you think was your best?
I think there was one of the Zeri games where I had Pandora's Bench, and it was with Exalted Adventure. I hit Zeri Vladimir. I'm like, okay, it's a Zeri game, and they're like at the point with Pandora's Bench with your bench getting clogged and you're holding everything, just like that roll down and like getting out of that without losing any units or having like the bench space screw me
like
over.
just being able to hit without having to sacrifice too much.
Yeah, and like and trusting my roll down, my roll downs enough basically.
Do you have any like? Do you have a ranked goal for this set, or are you just gonna chill and play TF2 when you wanna?
Kind of chilling. If I can hit Grandmaster again, that would be chill. I'm not like too stressed about it. I think one of the past 2 sets I hit it again. I was like, oh neat, and then I immediately dip back to Master. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not trying to like study a bunch and like grind. I'm just like, I have a decent amount of time to play. Well, I'm kind of taking things a bit easy on work at the moment, but
Mm.
I'm not going too hard. I'm just trying to re-roll.
Yeah.
That's all.
Just try to reroll.
Even like last patch was not bad because there were so many good reroll comps, and then half of them got nerfed. I'm like, well, okay, this isn't quite as good, but this is still what I want to do.
Yeah, for
I mean, hopefully you get some better 2-cost to reroll next set. I wish you all the 2-costs.
Bring back Talon. Please. more dog. I'm begging you. I need my boy back. Bring him
sure.
back.
It's been a long time since Talon. It's been a long time.
Girl,
It's been a
I know.
minute.
It's been so long since we've had any Talon at all, and like, give me my Debonair Talon back. I literally have a tattoo on my back of Jirachi holding Debonair
Oh my
Talon's
God.
sword.
Wow. That's commitment.
Domino, I'll send you a picture after stream.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I
Thank
got you.
I feel like if you do get Talon back, it'll be a revolution. We'll actually have Riley and TFT again.
If it's a 2-cost Talon, I'm just dropping my job. I'm coming
That's
back.
it.
Yeah, that's it.
100% TFT. 24/7. Talon only.
Exactly.
No scout, no pivot.
Rename to Talon Girl. Again. Yeah.
Again. Yeah.
Again.
Yes.
I think if you wanna say anything or give any shout outs, now would be the time, because this has been such a fun interview, but we gotta let our voices rest.
I dropped this in chat, but it's really funny because it's like, if I had a nickel for every time I randomly came out of retirement to win a marginalized genders tourney, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice.
My goodness. I'm pretty sure I read that while we were still, casting, and I had to hold myself back from just laughing ridiculously with no context. I'm so glad you said it on stream.
The first time was one of the Pals tourneys. So shout out to Pals. Miss her. Other than that, trans rights and sex work is real work. That's all. Have a good night.
Real. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Before we get out of the stream, we want to give a quick outro. So thank you to our amazing sponsors and to the Guardian Angel League team who organized this charity tournament, the broadcast team behind the scenes, our director Catherine, our admins Laura and Twunky, our casters. Thank you, Domino. Great job on your first time, because it was amazing. It was lovely getting to cast with you, and our moderator Blake as well. If anyone wants to get involved, please join the Guardian Angel League Discord, type !Discord and find out how you can join. This is a great place, a great inclusive space for people of marginalized genders in the TFT community, as well as in the gaming community in general. And
yeah, it's a really nice place. We have a good time. I promise you will too.
Yeah, for sure. And Domino, do you wanna give any shout outs before we go?
I mean, I definitely want to give an extra shout out to Laura, who was the person who put me onto the Guardian Angel League, and she convinced me to participate at first, and then she convinced me to get involved, and then to cast, and all of her recommendations were great, and I'm really happy to be here, so thank you to her. And then shout out to everybody who comes and plays, because every time we get new players, every time we get more players and bigger tourneys, the more fun we have. So keep them coming.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't have said it better. Until next time, good night, goodbye. Take care.
Bye-bye.